working fluidly. And Wonder, he stopped playing supports top lane. He has gone back to his old carry dominant top lane ways, while Mickey is helping roam around the map and work with Jankos to help dominate this early game. And just look at some of these stats. They are first across the board. They spend the vast majority of their game sitting with a lead. They average a 2.2k gold lead at 15 minutes. This team is monstrous right now, and you have to be afraid when playing against this team in a best of 5.
They're playing so well that they're actually ruining some of our stats categories because they're just so far off the charts, especially in damage and how they win their games, and that's absolutely crazy. They are favorites. I think we don't have to say that again, but in the end, I heard you mention the bot lane. For instance, Mickey did say in PGL last week that he thought that they would have quite some trouble with the Mad Lions bot lane. How important is that bottom lane going to be in this best of 5?
I don't think it's just trouble with the Mad Lions bot lane, but it's just kind of bot lane in general. If you're going to pick a point of attack for G2, it has been the bot lane. It was that way when it was Perks and Mickey. It is also that way when it's Caps and Mickey, because they like to play to win the lane, to kill their opponent, and that does leave them exposed. And when you have someone like Carzzy and Kaiser, they will step to and they will play kill-oriented bot lanes, like the Taric and the Kalista that they can pull out. So if anyone can step to and really try to punish G2 when they get over-aggressive in the bot lane, when they try to style on their opponents, Mad Lions certainly have the tools.
And I think that the Mad Lions bot lane have also showcased they're willing to bring out new stuff. We mentioned it earlier, but they were the bot lane that played the Kalista Taric, a bot lane that was new to the European ecosystem, or meta system rather, and it really shaked heads, and it also got a huge upset win against G2. So they also played the Set and Syndra last week, so I'm excited to see what this duo is ready to bring out. These two rookies have been making waves in the bot lane, and I think that they can pose a pretty strong challenge to G2's duo.
A definite possible X factor in this best of 5. As we get closer to the draft, we're just a couple of minutes away. I want to touch on that bottom lane of that Kalista Taric. We of course saw it in week 5 when Mad Lions were able to beat G2 Esports. And as we take a look at this draft, I want to hear from you why this worked so well, why they were able to win that game, and what they have to replicate to win 3 games today.
I mean, if you go back and watch the tape, that early game was horrific for the Mad Lions. It was really bad. It was like repeated dives. Jankos made early ganks on bot lane, then Wonder outplayed the top lane dive, and it was really just a single team fight that G2 flipped and then ate the wrong end of a Taric ultimate, and then it rotated into a Baron. Like, obviously, Humanoid getting really fed on LeBlanc helps, which is really what I want to put a magnifying glass on. Humanoid on LeBlanc and Shadow on Lee Sin. These are by far their 2 biggest comfort champions, and I think they're going to have massive targets on them coming into this ban phase. Do G2 roll the dice, give Humanoid and Shadow kind of their big comfort champions, or will they repeatedly deny, especially Shadow, his Lee Sin, which is above and beyond just his most proficient champion, and see what else they can kind of dig into to try to stay on even footing with our best players in the league, pound for pound across the board?
That's a great observation, the fact that they're going to have good plans, but they have a certain amount of champions that G2 can easily ban out, whilst when the shoe is on the other foot for Mad Lions, what are they going to do against the flexibility of G2 Esports, which seemingly has taken on even more extreme forms and more flexibility compared to last year?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, Ifya, because when we look back at last week and they were playing things like Bard top, Shyvana jungle, like, yes, they are troll picks in one sense, but at the same time, Aatrox Swain bot lane, would we really be surprised if Caps and Mickey played that bot lane? I feel like that this team is always experimenting, and you know they're going to have something in their back pocket ready. The ultimate question is, can Mad push them enough to force them to bring their pocket picks out, or are they going to hold them for later in the tournament? I'm excited to see.
Fantastic. There are so many questions that are going to get answered. How strong is G2 really? How are they going to start at defending their title these playoffs? And does Mad have enough of an X factor and a dark horse factor to make it through this gruesome best of 5? What a start to the playoffs. This is the moment we have all been waiting for as the reigning champions kick the playoffs off against the new superstars of the LEC.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else. My name is Trevor Quickshot Henry, and I'm joined by Jacob Yamato Cannon Mebdi. It's LEC playoffs, and it is the defending champions going up against one of the more exciting rookie teams. Yamato, this should be a lot of fun. They absolutely will, Yamato. Sorry to cut you off. I believe we're just getting your audio connected to the stream. There's a chance that beautiful monologue may need to be repeated, my friend. Apologies about the technical challenges, everybody at home. As you've noticed, we have moved a few of the casters around and we've added webcams to the stream. And obviously, we are continuing to iterate on our setup. We will be jumping into draft in just a moment or two. It is G2 Esports on the blue side with Mad Lions on the red side. So, Yamato, let's try that again. I know it was beautiful the first time. It was a serenade. Maybe we'll get to it in game. Let's turn into the picks. What do we want to focus on? As it turns out, my friend Yamato, you may actually be disconnected entirely for now. So while our producers are going to be chatting to you to resolve connecting you to the stream, I'll keep our viewers entertained. And one thing I want to keep an eye out is the Kalista Taric combination. For anybody that remembers, in week 5, Mad Lions took down G2 Esports. They fell behind early, and it was Kalista and Taric that absolutely dominated in the mid game. The team fights were impeccable, and I wonder if G2 is going to remove that, or if they're going to stare down the barrel and say, we dare you to play it. Come at us, Mad Lions. All right, LeBlanc is the first ban, taking it away from Humanoid. Pantheon, the immediate reply. We are playing on patch 10.6, as you can see at the top of your screen. So I'm wondering where the likes of Ornn are going to fall. Kiana is another pick for Humanoid. With the LeBlanc first ban, I wonder if Kiana will find her way through. And there is that Taric. So at least one half of the combination has been removed from the pool. I'm going to keep focusing on some of the storylines that we want to follow throughout this series. Reminder that the LEC playoff format is different in 2020, that whoever wins today is guaranteed a top 3 place in the spring split. Senna is going to be the next ban coming from Mad Lions. That is definitely targeted at Caps in the bottom lane, of course. We heard Mac talking a little bit about the unique picks, talking about expectations on the Mad Lions side, and whether or not that will come to fruition. What is Caps going to play? We know he can play those mages in the bottom lane, and I wonder if it's going to happen during the course of the BO5. If you are just joining us, Yamato Cannon is currently working with my production team to get reconnected, and the last 2 bans are going to be the Renekton and the Thresh. So Ornn manages to slide his way through the ban pool. I want to see if it's going to be picked or not. I mean, some of the other priority picks that we have been seeing, the likes of that set, still remains very, very popular. And it's going to be the Syndra locked in for G2 Esports. Whether that's in Perks' hands or Cap's hands, that's what I'm going to see. That's what it's going to be interesting throughout the course of this series. Whether or not Perks and Caps will be swapping champions. Whether or not they'll actually be... maybe even, playing one another's roles. This is Caps' first playoff series as a bot laner, and he may be staring down a Kalista Nautilus combination. Of course, taking a look through the rest of the draft right now, G2 Esports have to decide what do they want to prioritize, what do they want to lock in here to potentially either match the bottom lane or secure a priority pick for one of their other lanes. It is the set secured, so they've locked that one in. One of those options that we've seen in a couple of different roles, actually. I'd be very excited to see that set move around. We've seen it top, we've seen it mid. I've heard a lot of people talk about it in support as well, but with G2, you've got 2 flex picks straight out of the gate, and that was, of course, one of the big question marks that Mad Lions have to answer. Are they ready for what G2 can throw at them? Mac was saying he's going to focus on his own gameplay and his own team's performance, and that is what they're hoping to do. Reminder that Mad Lions as well are one of the only teams, other than G2 Esports, that managed to pick up a win against Fnatic, G2, and Origin, but picking up a victory in a best of 1 versus taking a series against the back-to-back defending champions and a world finalist G2. That is a whole beast, entirely different. While we continue to work on Yamato Cannon's microphone, I'm going to welcome Andrew Vedius Day for joining me at the caster desk. From Lagius to Vedius, what do you make of the draft so far?
Well, let's have a look. What have we got here? So we've got The Syndra plus the set priority I think is super fascinating because Syndra has been a champion that over recent patches some teams have actually chosen to move away from in terms of the priority bans. But given that G2 is so proficient at being able to flex her into multiple roles, it is still a very strong flex pick for this team. Of course, it does give Mad a lot of priority champions in the form of Kalista, something that they brought out against G2 last time, but with the Taric banned away, they're forced to change their support pick in the form of the Nautilus. So Mad already have a very strong 2 versus 2, and with a good early game impact jungler, it does suggest that Mad might be looking to attack that bot side of the map.
Okay, very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out, of course, because it was Kazi and Kaiser that, again, they're sort of the standout players. Kaiser in particular, especially with his end of split performance, was one of the names that was thrown around for Rookie of the Split. I want to see what Shadow's going to do on this Gragas. When I was preparing this series with Yamato Cannon, we talked extensively about the Lee Sin versus Gragas and like who would get what. I love the fact that Lee Sin was taken away from Shadow.
It's also one of Jankos' favorite picks as well. When you speak to Grabs, he's always complaining about the fact that whenever Lee is open, Jankos always suggests it. Always going, hey, maybe we could lock in Lee here. Maybe we could go for this. And the last time he played it against Origin, he was terrifying on it. He utilizes pressure so well to get into the face of his opposition to really create some chaos. Now, what you're seeing from G2's draft is a lot of early game pressure. This heavily suggests with the Lucian locked in that the Syndra could be, well, I say it could be. No, it doesn't. It doesn't suggest anything, Trevor, because it's
mid,
G2.
man.
It's Lucian mid, it could be Lucian bot, it could literally be anywhere.
Syndra support. Come on, give me Syndra support. No, I mean, that's not going to happen, right? But
wait.
I do like the fact that Caps is going to be running the Lucian. Don't pick Maokai.
It's going to be Maokai. It's going to be Maokai. G2,
wait,
are they
so
really
set support?
Maokai?
Yes!
Play Maokai.
No! Oh, man. Oh, I'm so torn. Okay, I get set support, but
Yes, you
in
do.
order to get set support, I have to have Maokai top. I don't think that's a fair trade. I don't want it. Okay, so what does set Lucian do into Kalista Nautilus? I mean, how is this going to play out?
Well, that's assuming it's set Lucian. It could still be Syndra botmate. That's the scary thing. I think G2 are going to wait to see.
You can't put Syndra support. Oh! Leon is locked in!
So they're
Nautilus
doing
mid.
Nautilus
Oh
mid.
my god! FPX! They are channeling their inner FPX. They're trying.
You are too excited for a Nautilus mid. Quick shot is.
Yes, but it's the message. It's not about the pick.
Okay,
it's
okay,
not
I get
about
it. I feel you.
the Maokai. It's not about the Nautilus. It is about the ghost of GO3's past in the World Championship final.
So, the things to note here is the Lucian is going to go into the mid lane. So what does this give G2? Well, a very easy pushing mid setup. This allows Jankos to be very aggressive in the early game, and we're going to be seeing a lot of pressure from this Jankos Perks duo, as we've come to expect from G2. You've also got Syndra in the bot lane, which is a big comfort pick for Caps, something that he used to be known on last year when he played a lot of mid lane for G2. And when you pair it up with the set we saw from Mad just last week when they played against Origin, how powerful this 2v2 can be. So I think G2 have drafted themselves a very early game comp. And Trevor, I'm sure when we get into the game, you're going to talk a lot about the early game stats from G2 and why this could be a very scary thing for Mad to go up against in game one.
You read my notes, you cheater. Really quick though, what happens if Perks and Caps just walk to the other lane and Caps
It's not going to happen.
mid with Syndra?
There's no way. It's not going to happen.
All right, well, let's jump into game one. G2 versus Mad. Welcome to game one of the LEC Spring 2020 playoffs. I would like to try and welcome back Yamato Cannon to the broadcasts. So
Thank you
Yamato,
very
when
much.
we first tried to introduce
like
you,
Ric
you
Flair,
had
I'm ready to
beautiful
go, man.
monologue. I think you'll have a little bit of time. What do you expect from this series today?
I'm so happy we get to cast this series as the first series of the LEC playoffs, because to me this defines the whole thing. G2's level, what are they going to come in as? Always the best of fives. G2, they always level up coming into it. We look at them as the favorites. We look at them as Spring Split winners, naturally. What level are going to bring when Caps is playing bottom? Mad Lions, the dark horse. This is the team that can cause some ruckus. They can be the ones that cause some damage, maybe to Origin, maybe to Fnatic, maybe today to G2, because in the regular season they
Oh,
took
this is
games
so
off of them.
exciting. Yamato,
So this
thank
is
you
the
for that
series to watch
fantastic
100%.
summary. I know you were watching the draft while we were working on your microphone, and just to all our viewers and everybody watching at home, thank you for bearing with us. We are still iterating on this work from home LEC, and it does come with more speed bumps than we would like. Yamato, as we start to see the trading, give me a brief summary of your expectations for these two team comps and what you want to see the teams do.
When the Maokai gets locked into the Aatrox, we know G2's approach already from the get-go. They want to leave Oromo on the weak side and just boom into that top side. No problem at all. They want to just make sure that Caps and this Kalista, Karzi of course, they force that 2v2, they keep going for it. Every action is going to lead into that bottom side.
And keeping my eyes in on the junglers as well. Jankos obviously early picked that Lee Sin. And that means he's going to start to clear out. And I want to see what he's going to do against Shadow. One of the big stories coming into this game was just the gigantic mismatch between the Lee Sin, the Jankos rather, and Shadow, the abilities that they have. Shadow, obviously a rookie jungler to the stage. He's had some impressive performances. And when Yamato and I were, preparing and researching, we were nervous about what Shadow's level of play was going to have on the series. The expectation is that Jankos should be able to run all over him. So we'll see what happens in terms of the remainder of the series. Shadow now going to have some support from Kaiser as he starts to clear out some wards. Jankos was looking for a little bit of an invade, but nothing ended up coming of it. No interactions there, no challenges, and Scuttle Crab will now be picked up here on the Mad Lion side. As the lane continues to play out, it looks like it's slowly pushing towards the Mad Lions. As you can no doubt tell, Yamato Cannon is currently still working with some audio-related issues. We're attempting to synchronize a lot of the microphones. The producers are informing me that we were talking over one another, and that is obviously a problem for everybody listening at home. Let's take a look. Shadow with the first appearance here. Dredgeline will connect onto Perks. Body Slam Flash is available for Shadow if he wants to. Decides against it. Perks with the Flash and the heal would have been able to escape, and they end up trading Flash for Flash. If Human already got that bonk on the head and rooted him in place, maybe then Shadow could have followed up for the first blood. When we were looking into this game as well, Perks on Euphoria was talking about how excited he was going to be coming up against Humanoid. Excited to play against him because Humanoid likes to play those assassins. I mentioned in the draft, the LeBlanc was banned away, the Kiana was banned away. And Perks is playing a little bit aggressive, now steps forward with the help of Jankos, moving away, First Blood picked up by the First Blood King. Jankos cannot chase further onto Shadow. It's a 1-for-1 as G2 and Mad Lions trade blow for blow. It turns out, member of the broadcast team that had the worst internet is now going to be coming back to help out as Vedis has been able to catch this first kill. It's weird how the world changes, doesn't it,
yeah,
my man?
It's super weird. Anyway, so I didn't get to see the full setup, but what I wanted to talk about was something we mentioned in draft. The fact that Jankos and Perks is a very powerful 2 versus 2 lane. Mad wanted to try and get ahead of the play, though. The thing about Mad's duo is they have a lot of crowd control, but unless they land everything, they don't have the damage. The opposite is true for G2. Because you have the Lucian in the early game, he's running the press, the attack, along with the Lee Sin. As long as he hits that Q, you have so much setup damage. So even though G2 had a health disadvantage, they're able to come up with an early kill. Though, the fact that Mad do find that trade still pretty good for them, but you can see the deficit starting to mount in the mid lane. The question is, how is Jankos now going to use this early kill and early lead that he's been able to pick up to further pressure the map?
I mean, if there was any jungler who's going to be able to do that, it's going to be this man. Where would you like him to go? I mean, Yamato and you both talking a lot about this bottom lane prio. All flashes available, cleanse as well on Kazi. So, do you want to see any pressure there? And when would you expect it to come?
Well, the thing you've got to look for is a potential dive. Now, you talked about the FPX message that Mad was trying to send, quick shot. But there's no Predator on the Nautilus, which means that we're not expecting super carry humanoid this game. You know?
Come on!
Yes, they are rookies. That's been the whole narrative of them for the entire split quick shot. But the thing is, I wouldn't say that it's super common on a Nautilus. It's just a very Doinby thing to do. However, the Aftershock provides you with a lot of utility in terms of defensive stats, and it helps you in terms of the 1v1 against Illusion, especially if you're able to land that skill shot. However, in terms of setting up dives, it's really easy with the Kalista once she hits level 6. We do see a bit of trading between Jankos and Shadow, and he has to be careful because Kaiser is in the vicinity. But the reason dives are very possible in the bot lane is because you do have that ultimate from the Kalista to reset the tower aggro. So Kaiser can be used to set up a lot of these engages and then get out of harm's way as Mickey flashes in.
Yeah, he does. Manages to get through 3-on-2. That's until Humanoid arrives. Humanoid will be able to catch out Perks. The teleport comes down from Arome as well. Kaiser's looking for Jankos but can't find him. Perks will go down as the Nature's Grasp roots multiple members of the Mad Lions. That's one for Wonder. Mickey's running for his life, and Wonder may just be cut down where he stands. And Mad Lions come away with the team fight win. Mickey may not be able to escape here. No flash available. Body Slam will connect. And the kill should be donated here to Kazi, but the damage is massive! Gromp has been enlisted, it won't be enough for the kill. 4 kills to 2.
Really good smite there coming in from Shadow onto the Gromp to keep himself alive, but look at this situation. Notice that G2 initially have the numbers advantage, which is why they commit to the play. However, the TP comes in at a really good time from the side of Mad as the Maokai is walking down. The fact that the Syndra doesn't rotate up because Mad have prio on bot lane means that Mad actually get to collapse and have the numbers advantage at the end of the fight, forcing the rest of G2 to disengage, where they end up losing 3 members overall. This early game that was supposed to be heavily in the favor of G2, the fact that they were trying to use this mid-jungle power duo is slowly starting to fall apart. And Mad are getting kills onto the Kalista and are actually getting through what should be a pretty difficult early game.
Oh man, that is fantastic. 2-0 on Kazi's Kalista. Kalista Taric was the combination I was afraid of. I wondered if G2 would have the bravado to let it go through and be like, hey, you beat us with it last time, but we can beat you now. You know, kill the spirit of Mad Lions before it begins. But this is exciting on the Mad Lions side because traditionally they've been the comeback kids. Traditionally they've been the team that's fallen behind and needed to use their really good mid and late game to come back from deficits, and they find themselves with a kill lead and a minor gold lead.
The irony of this situation, Quickshot, is the very first time that these two teams met, the early game was very similar. G2 tried to force a lot of plays that kind of went to disaster, and then G2 were able to come back later on into the game. The second time that they met, it was the other way around. G2 had a fantastic early game, and then they faltered in the mid game, and Mad was able to take advantage of it. And the story of these two teams this split has been very much whoever gets the early game lead actually ends up struggling more than their opposition. And now we could see Wonder struggling as he is in a 1 versus 3.
Yeah, 1 versus 3 is Humanoid's going to arrive. Fate's Call from Kazi comes out. Wonder's doing a lot to stay alive. May almost have taken down Kaiser, but really showing off his Maokai mechanics.
Yeah, he really was.
There's a sentence I just felt dirty saying. Like, I'm sorry, viewers at home didn't deserve, but, you know, he made them work for it. They don't manage to get the tower just yet, but with the help of Shelly, if they summon it, that should help out, and Caps is pushing bottom lane.
Honestly, that just got to showcase the power of Kalista when it comes to setting up these dives. The tower reset of the aggro, but Maokai, as you were likely saying, Wonder did everything that he could in that situation. I think he played it as well as he could, and it's unfortunate that Kaiser wasn't slightly closer to the tower, because if he was, he may have actually been able to trade that for a 1-for-1. Of course, that wasn't the case. 1-2, or they can rotate them into the mid lane. But we just have to acknowledge how well Mad are utilizing this small early game lead that they got from G2's over aggression to snowball this gold lead. They're at a 1k advantage already, and if you saw the analyst test segment, Trevor, G2 on average at 15 have a 2.2k gold lead. So the fact that Mad are doing this in their very first playoff game against G2 is a very impressive start.
Well, Vedius, I'm glad you bring up those stats because I just happen to have a graphic to show you. You're 100% right. G2 Esports' second half of the split, their early game strength was fantastic. It jumped all the way from plus 415 gold at 15 minutes to plus 2.2k, as you mentioned. Their kills at 15 went from 4.2 to 6.4. the time with the major lead from 30% to 50%. It's absolutely fantastic. And it's very impressive that Mad has been able to trade blow for blow. But as you know, Vedius, I like my stats, and the team that was in the lead at 15 minutes between these two teams lost both of their respective games.
Yeah, we were just talking about that, right? It's the scary thing, yeah. So now we can see that Mad is in a commanding position. They're looking to threaten the bot lane tower. And notice how Humanoid has abandoned farm, and he's just a CC bot right now. He's roaming with his team, looking to set up plays, and I think this is the correct way to play Nautilus mid. The way in which G2 is responding is they're actually funneling a lot of gold onto Caps. If we can actually swap over and have a look at the gold between the two teams, we should be able to see that while Caps is at a 1k gold deficit, that's of course because he's 3 kills behind, but he has still completed his Luden's Echo. He's been picking up a lot of the plates, so that deficit could be a lot worse, as it looks like we're getting another fight.
We do indeed. Gragas barrel comes down, but there's 2 members of Mad Lions caught in a cacophony of G2 Esports. It's an easy 2 kills for G2. They are now marginally ahead on gold. They picked up that Cloud Drake. They're even on towers, and they're now pushing forward. Caps has completed the Luden's Echo, Blade of the Ruined King sitting on perks, so that was just the right time for them to start getting into the combat.
Kazi does have the cleanse, and it looks like he's going to use it to go away.
He does indeed, and won't last too long, my friend.
Nope.
That was a pretty easy kill on the side of G2.
Yeah, that was a pretty big mistake from Kazi as well. He thought he was safe because he did have cleanse, but if we look at the minimap, you can see that the bottom side of the map does not belong to Mad Lions. They have that entire river littered with wards, and while they do have some deep vision inside G2's jungle, that was just a big overextension from Kazi after his duo just died in the mid lane. It was Mad who were trying to get a collapse onto G2. It was Mad who were trying to punish G2 for setting up a siege. But then Mad are the ones that end up getting collapsed upon because they messed up their engage. This has now given G2 3 very quick kills. And now the kill score is even, and G2 have suddenly taken control over the game.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic turnaround. Plus 700 gold. First items completed across the board. Taking a look at the lane assignments, Caps has now moved his way into that mid lane, and Perks is making his way up top, coming up against a roommate with the Blade of the Ruined King and Cullen cooldown. I don't think Perks has got enough just yet to be able to pick up that kill, but nevertheless he's going to push that wave backwards. 123 CS to the 83 of Humanoid. There's a level advantage as well, and that is actually very scary when he's also got a kill and 3 assists to his name.
I think it's really important when, especially we look at tank matchups, to not compare Perks to Humanoid, but actually look at Wonder relative to Humanoid and Arome to Perks. Because Arome has just been bringing up a lot of free farm, while Wonder has been roaming around the map and trying to offer utility, while he's also being put under a lot of pressure by Mad. Meanwhile, Humanoid has been doing the same thing. So I think it makes more sense to kind of compare the tanks and their roles and their positions, and you can actually see it's quite even. But even then, Perks still has a pretty big advantage over Arome. It is partly due to the fact that he does have that kill. He's been picking up a lot of plates and a lot of tower farm, and he's likely going to secure this tower as well with the assistance of Jankos. But in terms of utility in the team fights later, you kind of have to look at Maokai and how much more he offers than the Nautilus, because while Humanoid can lock down a single target, Wonder can lock down all of them. With his wide range ultimate and the bashing of the 2 tanks, it looks like Mad are looking to put more perks down onto the big tree.
Yep, Fat Man incoming. That's a flash body slam. The barrel comes out. Nature's Grasp will buy a few seconds, and the Maokai passive does so much! The Solar Flare slows him down, but look at all of those projectiles. The thing is, it's 15 minutes into the game, he's only got a Sunfire Cape, and it takes 4 Mad Lions to eat the tree.
Yeah, it certainly does, Quick Shot. That was a very close one, but G2, they're no slouches. They recognized Mad committed 4 members on the bot side of the map, so they're trying to trade elsewhere on the map. They pushed in mid, they got the tier 1, they're also pushing up top, and now they may even be able to trade this for a tier 2 in the mid lane. So G2, they're going to call this worth 2 towers for 1. Yes, they lost a kill. Let's see if Humanoid can convert it into anything.
No, not just yet. He goes golden. You can see the early game averages for Mad Lions on your screen. A fantastic scat of the week from Caps. But Mad Lions, who traditionally are down 600 gold, rank 6th and 7th for kills and deaths. Thank you, graphics and stats team. For them to be going even with G2 Esports, who've had one of the most dominant early games in the second half of the split, I'm excited. I came into today honestly expecting a quick 3-0.
Yeah.
I felt that G2 were like super heavy favorites, and I really, really anticipated this game to go the way of G2 very quickly. So Mad Lions, kudos for coming out the gate swinging. Now prove you belong here, and play this mid game the way you have all split long. You've beaten G2 already 4 weeks ago. I wonder if they can do it again.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. Looks like we're going to get another fight.
Yeah, we are. Orome goes in with a lot of damage on those Qs. Jankos does not manage to connect with the Sonic Wave. Now all of a sudden he's in trouble. Forced to ward hop over the wall. Mad Lions get a cheeky kill onto Mickey, and they turn towards the Rift Herald. It's a 5-on-4 Vedius as the siege is being set up.
Good hook.
It is indeed. The Cullen comes down, starting to tag a lot of people. Humanoid flashing for his life. Great solar flare from Kaiser. This is a madness of a fight already. There are so many stacks in the Rift Herald, and it will be taken down. Now all of a sudden Shadow goes golden. Jankos forced to flash for his life, and now it's Mad Lions on the run. This was a 5 versus 4. Unleashed Power will not find the kill, but Perks does. G2, they do trade 1 for 1 as Jankos goes down. The Caps won't be able to lob any balls to kill Mad Lions, but they get the Herald and they get out.
Yeah, but it's Mad that comes out ahead in this fight, Quickshot. The fact that they found themselves 2 kills, they get themselves the Rift Herald, and they only lose Kaiser. How can you not be happy with that result? Let's see here. This fight actually starts off with Mickey already dead. G2 want to make sure that they do not give up a second Rift Herald. They don't want to lose that much pressure, but a fantastic ultimate from Kaiser stops G2 dead in their tracks as they're trying to re-engage, and a great interrupt there from Shadow on the E. Just as Wonder lands his W, he gets knocked up, and then a great body block from Orome to keep Humanoid alive. Just so many small mechanical excellence here that we're seeing from the Mad Lions squad. It's what you need when playing against G2, because G2 is a team that in these situations rely on their mechanics to outplay you. They will take 50-50 situations and they will turn them into 80-20 because of how good their players are. But if Mad continues to play like this, they're going to keep going toe-to-toe, and situations that are not as clear-cut for G2 are going to end up backfiring, as we just saw from the Mad Lions.
Absolutely the case. One of the things that... the big stories, the big expectations for this series that Yamato and I had, Vedius, was that there's this element of mystery. What can Mad Lions do? Expectations for them, very low. Hey, the expectation is G2's going to stomp this. What level will G2 show us? Will Caps play majors? A lot of these questions are now starting to gain some light, and G2, they're on the hunt. Very good sidestep from Kaiser and Kazi. Scatter the Weak won't find a stun. But I am very, very interested to see how these next 10 minutes now play out. And it still feels as though G2 are one step ahead, but Mad Lions are not being crushed by that. They are putting up a fight, and they were showing that they can be competitive.
I'm kind of thinking about how the rest of this game looks and what these upcoming fights will look like, and I'm trying to think about scaling, because we talked a lot about how G2 should actually have a very strong mid-jungle duo, but they didn't dominate the early game. Mad went toe-to-toe with them, but now when we get into these Drake fights that we're going to be seeing very soon, I think one of the big challenges that G2 is going to have is how do they get on top of Kazi? How do they stop this Kalista from just running wild? Because I think that in straight up front-to-back fights, if G2 is just trying to run at Mad, Kazi's just going to keep kiting them, and when you have a Nautilus, a Gragas, and a Leona, there's so much peel for this champion that I think it's going to be really difficult unless G2 can find a good fight. And look, they're trying to run at them right now. How do they close that gap?
Vedius, this is insane. G2 tried to make a play for Dragon in the team fight. They end up losing 2 towers, but they get themselves a kill. They got themselves the Dragon. Mickey escapes with his life. The Dragon Raid kicks, knocks Kai's all the way back. There goes Jankos. He's stunned up, locked up, but not taken down. That's a route onto Kazi. Kazi stays alive for now. He's hopping and skipping and throwing the Ren stacks in. Sonic Wave doesn't find its target. That means Jankos goes down. Kazi continues to run for his life. Uses a stopwatch, but it should just be ornamental now. It ends up being a 2 for 3 in kills. But Mad Lions got the towers.
So the question was, how does G2 get onto Kazi? Well, you just have to run through the front line and you keep running at them and you don't stop. So many flashes were committed from the side of G2 to just get onto Kazi, but you saw how difficult it was. His kite back was beautiful. The fact that he kept just to arm's length, and again, look at how hard G2 tried to collapse. First, it's a 3 versus 5. A good ultimate from Wonder locks up 2 members, but then all this crowd control is body blocking. I like this ultimate from Mickey because it splits up up Mad. Half are dealing with Mickey, while the other two are dealing with the front line of Puux and Jankos as they just melt through it. But here, Kazi gets caught up in a choke point. A great W from Wonder's able to sidestep Kaiser, and this provides the initial CC that allows them to start the chase. But again, look at him. He's just kiting backwards.
Unreal.
Wonder has to commit his flash as well, and you can see how difficult it's going to be to actually shut him down. Yes, this was a one-team fight for G2, but you talked about it, Quick Shot. Mad got themselves 2 towers off the back of this, and I don't think that these fights are going to be as straightforward.
He picked up a GA as well as Runon's Hurricane, so he's got those 2 for the next fight. Shadow on that Gragas has got the Hourglass available. His flash is not there, but he's 3-0-3. Mad Lions, 500 goal up. They've got a kill ahead of G2, a tower ahead of G2 at 21 minutes, and we had a fantastic game on our hands. You were talking about the later stages and how the front and back team fights are going to play out, but is there a clear-cut winner in sort of scaling? Like, do you prefer Mad or G2's comp? It's tough, isn't it? Because they're quite unconventional.
I think Mad's outscales when I look at it, because I think Gragas offers a lot more in terms of utility later on into the game. While I do think Maokai can do a lot, the thing you've got to think about for Maokai is he's a great setup champion. So he sets someone up to then swing the bat, right? And I'm looking at G2's comp and I'm thinking, okay, who exactly is he trying to set up? Because the problem that G2's champs have is that if Lucian tries to go in, there's a lot of crowd control on the side of Mad, so he may end up just getting CC'd the moment he tries to close the gap. Meanwhile, Syndra, she's pretty short range too. She kind of just has to kill what's in front of her. So if she's forced to use her ultimate on a humanoid or a Kaiser, Mad don't really care. As long as Arome and Kazi are still alive, Mad is always going to have more than enough damage to clean up these fights. So I think right now, when I look at things, I think Mad's comp is easier to execute. I think that it's easier for them to play around objectives, and I also think that they just offer a lot more in terms of late game comp. So I think Mad do have the scaling advantage. They look for another fight.
Oh, they're going in. Arome's teleported in from behind. Mickey's late to the fight. This is a 4-on-4. Shadow keeps him out for now. That's one already. Kazi's looking for another. Kaiser stays alive. Kazi's going to continue to chase. He's got himself a double kill. Mad are doing it. Mad are in the lead. They are playing the game right, and they are punishing G2 Esports. They're going to get themselves an uncontested Baron and absolute control in game 1 of the series.
What a beautiful flank from Arome. The synergy that they had to just shut down Caps was flawless. When we jump into the replay, I just want you to keep your eyes on how Arome comes into the backline and how Mad's goal is just kill Caps. With him gone, the rest of the dominoes will very quickly fall. And it just becomes like blowing down a tower of cards. Again, keep your eyes on this TP just to the left-hand side. Comes in from the flank, the Normless ultimate hits the Syndra. And what's he gonna do? Jankos is trying to provide peel, Perks has no one that he can hit, and then Kazi's just flashing into the front of them. Meanwhile, Mickey's getting zoned off by Shadow. We talked about how this comp is just easier to execute for Mad, and that's a prime example of how to do it. Fantastic teamwork from Mad to just rip apart G2. They've now got the Baron. This game is fully in their control.
Unbelievable performance. I think they're going to do it. When you look at a game and you look at how a team is playing, Mad have earned this lead. They have moved around the map effectively. They have won the team fights effectively. I'm going to ignore the fact that Kaiser is in trouble for now. Will not be caught out just here. Kazi, no Fate's Call available. Just what on earth? That damage was fantastic. Kaiser goes down, but he takes 2 with him. Now Wonder's in trouble. He's going to chase onto Shadow, but he will get rendered into oblivion. I did not think that the turnaround was going to play out the way that it did. Humanoid is now getting some chunk onto Mickey as there's another dragon available, but Mad have earned every single piece of gold in the advantage, and they are simply outplaying G2 in the opening game of this match.
It was talked about at the beginning of the day. Mad is a team that when the odds are completely against them, they shine the most. This team is the only team in the entirety of the LEC to beat all of the top 3 teams at least once this split. And of course, G2, technically they can't beat themselves, so they kind of don't qualify for that role. But you have to acknowledge the fact that Mad has done something that very few teams can claim credit to. The fact that they've been able to take those games off those top teams. Many people would sit there and say, oh, it was lucky. Oh, G2 misplayed. Origin had a bad draft. Fnatic misexecuted. Like, maybe, but Mad also do all the right things. When Mad have an opportunity, they are not afraid to take you by the arm and take the entire body with it. This team continues to impress, and they're doing it now. Now, of course, quick shot, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Correct.
There's 5 games. It's a best of 5, rather. They've got to win at least 3, and right now they look poised and ready to win the first one. But that doesn't mean that they're suddenly favorites to win the series. G2 have fallen down before, but again, that's assuming G2 lose, right?
Yes.
We've seen them come back from situations like this before in a game that they shouldn't be able to win. It only takes one big mistake from Mad for them to suddenly reclaim control. So let's see how Mad push with the lead that they currently have.
I don't feel like this is the game that is going to happen. Just on those 25 minutes of gameplay, look, I agree with everything you said, and the expectation is still G2 can bounce back. When you look at those 5 players on your screen, the Mad Lions squad has been a little maybe underrated. They quietly moved their way into 4th place.
For sure,
you know, they had a strong second half of the split. Those 5 players, none of them are true superstars yet. We've seen superstar moments, you know, Kaiser, Humanoid, Shadow, Kazi, Arome. They've had good standout games from time to time. But you would have expected pound for pound to be outclassed by G2. The thing that makes Mad impressive is as a young rookie team, they play as a team. They work as a team. And their mid-game has been fantastic. We call them the comeback kids because they played and picked up wins from behind all split long. Now they've been ahead. Now they're pushing into the base. They've already got a gigantic advantage over G2. Mickey's diving the back line, but it simply doesn't matter, dude. Arome is keeping 4 members of G2 busy. Kaze throws in Kaiser, and he's already used that solar flare. That's a trade back. This is starting to turn a little in G2's favor, but that's a defensive flash, and Humanoid cannot find the Gragas barrel. But the inhibitor will go down. It's a 4,000 gold lead, 6 kill lead. And this rookie squad is making a statement in their debut playoff game.
TP flank.
I think this ends badly for G2, though. Take a look at this. Humanoid starting to turn around. TP flank again. This time, Arome. He's coming in for the hunt. Follow Kazi, bottom right of your screen. He's hunting on Caps. Manages to get the Pierce. Manages to get the Ren. Caps is trying to hover away to safety. Will buy some time. Flash is available. Needs to flash towards the pit. Scatter the Weak will need to connect. Luden's Echo gets a small proc in G2. They've managed to surround Mad Lions. The Scatter the Weak did not hit. And therefore, Mad Lions are escaping for now. Humanoid manages to get a shield. Won't be able to escape. The GA is going to get proc. Now Jankos goes down. Mad Lions are forced backwards. They've been chased from inhibitor to inhibitor. Pole to pole. Caps throws up the unleashed power and Shadow dodges it with the hourglass. All of a sudden, Caps goes down. Now Wonder's running away. Cue the Benny Hill music because we're going a running.
Oh man, what a crazy fight. It looks like they might not even be over yet. Wonder is doing everything that he can to try and escape.
Oh my word, it's still going. Wonder, come on, Sap Magic. Sap Magic again, I'm sure you can get it. Gonna dash forward, get the Rebel Bash. Snap Magic, he does it again. Come on! Oh man, his bark truly is bigger than his bites.
Oh, that was a good joke. I'm impressed with that one, Quick Shot. Oh, that's
Thank
really
you.
good.
I'll take that one. I'll take that
so
one.
let's try and break down this replay. So this is the end of the fight where it ended up being a 1-for-1 trade of supports. Mad are trying to walk away with an inhibitor taken, but then we see the TP flanks come in from Wonder and Caps. They tried to just get a quick pick onto Kazi, but the problem is they realize they can't win that 2v2, so they have to wait for Jankos and Perks to arrive. Of course, they're very far behind, so this forces Caps to take the long way around. He has to use his QE to keep Arome at arm's length. And now you're like, Matt, do you go for Caps or do you try and disengage? If Humanoid landed that hook, he was going to die. So the fact that he missed it was actually much better for him. And it looks at this point, the G2 just going to get a huge team fight win. They're going to get back into the game. But look at this flash body slam from Shadow. Helps get the double kill for his team. And then with a good flash from Kazi, now Mad can look to restart the fight. Of course, with all of this chasing happening, the Baron does end up being respawned, allowing Mad to secure this one very quickly. And yeah, it should just be an easy cleanup from here. It's cool to see G2 not really giving up. They're still trying to find these flank fights. They're still trying to find opportunities back into the game. But Mad just have so much more of an advantage. They are far too strong. And Kazi has 10 kills. Quick shot, he's level 16. Like, so much debate has been around rookie of the split, right? You know, and Kazi's been a player that you have to question, you know, does he deserve it? He's been quite quiet, honestly, on the side of Mad. I don't think, like, he's been he doesn't make that same splash that many other AD carries have, but he's very reliable. He's very consistent. And the one thing you can say for certain is that Kalista, in his hands, definitely one of his best champions.
Dude, look at Arome and Shadow. 507, 608. There are 33 kills in this game. Arome's been involved in 12. Shadow's been involved in 14. And they have been very chaotic kills and team fights and craziness. And they haven't conceded a death. This is phenomenal performance from Mad Lions. I have to go back to the draft. Syndra first pick for Caps, 2, 3, and 6. Lucian thrown into the mid lane for Perks, 5, 5, and 5. And that last pick, Alley-oop, the Nautilus and the Leona from Mad Lions. Max said it in the interview, we want to play our game, we want to play our way. They got their draft, and by God is it good to watch.
Yeah, Quickshot, I think you hit the nail on the head. It was funny because when we see this Nautilus locked in, you don't sit there and go, oh yeah, that's definitely a comfort pick for humanoid, right? That's not where your brain goes to, but the high priority on the Kalista is definitely paying off, as this looks like this could be the last fight of the game.
It is, and like, I mean, Perk said it, you know, he wanted the assassin versus assassin matchup, and humanoid, he's thrown out that depth charge, there's a little bit of trouble, he's running for his life, the culling does nothing. Absolutely nothing. Shadow gets a fantastic barrel. Mickey's diving all the way to the back line. He's trying to put pressure on Humanoid, but he's taken out by Shadow. Now all of a sudden Kaiser's running for his life. Arome's done so much to zone the rest of G2. Arome has zoned G2 Esports into another dimension this game. They're running for their lives. And Humanoid's TP'd back in. Inhibitor number 2. Inhibitor number 3. Super minions are the Nexus turrets. Vedius, what is the one saying play-by-plays love to say when a series gets exciting? Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone,
it looks like we got a series on our hands, but the game isn't over yet. Quick shot. Flash in from G2.
My friend, the game is over. Mad Lions are doing it. Hashtag mad win.
Are they?
Damn it, damn it, damn it. Come on, Kazi. Make this work. Get a bunch of Rens in. The Hurricane is doing a lot. The Rend will get dodged away from for now. Manages to push back. Not going to get any kills. The shield comes up. Okay, that was my fault. My bad.
That is 4 people dead. Quick shot. That's on me. 4 members of Mad Lions dead. That is so much gold that G2 just picked up. Let's have a switch over to the gold. Let's see how much they're currently sitting on. 3,000 for Perks. He just went up to 15k gold. Caps is sitting at 16,000 total. He has 2.3k to spend. Like, that kind of money is not just, you know, that's not nothing. That's like completed items. Quick shot. Mad just gave away a huge advantage. They lost their Baron. It's not going to be alive for 2.5 minutes. G2 will gain a lot of experience off the back of that. And the thing you got to note is these fights have actually been getting closer. G2 seem to be learning ways in which they can navigate around Mad's stronger team fight comp, and they've actually only been trading 1-for-1, maybe 2-for-1, and this was the opportunity for Mad to actually win it all, but then they greeded. They overcommitted. They succumbed to the glory. They fell the same trap you did. Quick shot. They thought it was done, dusted, over, and then they took one step too far, and then the kings of Europe snapped back. Now suddenly the game is a lot more tense, and of course Mad still in full control. Expectations are they're still going to win this game. One single team fight isn't enough to suddenly swing the game on its head. Kazi is still full build. He's level 17, but when you look across the items, when you look across the board, G2 is a lot closer now than they were before.
They are. Unleashed Power comes down, doesn't pick up the kill to Shadow. Mad Lions are on soul point in only 90 seconds. Humanoid will clear out this ward and start to step forward. As Mad Lions with the 4,000 gold lead, they got the item advantage. GA's available for Arome and Kazi. And the flashes are available too. Let's take a look how this final push is going to play out. I like this. They don't need to force around Dragon. I like that Mad Lions are pushing themselves into the base. They are looking for the Nexus. This could be the final fight. Perks is not here just yet. Arome goes in. Caps is in trouble. The Nature's Cross comes down. It's not going to be enough to dissuade. The depth charge flies out from Humanoid, and the culling, it barely scratches Mad Lion's HP bars. Humanoid buys some time, and that was fantastic. Fate's Call will push G2 back to the Nexus. Arome gets popped with the GA. Is this going to be turned in G2's favor? No! The Zenith Blade manages to find a stun. Wonder's going to start to get a bunch of chunks into him. The Ren is going to do so much damage. It pops. It kills. It's G2 down. It's G2 defeated. And Mad Lions, the rookies, the team that was picked by G2 Esports, strikes first in the spring playoffs.
impressive stuff coming out from Mad Lions. And we got to go back to the early game, right? When we looked at the draft, when we looked at what to expect, it was going to be about G2 dominance, using that strong mid-jungle duo to try and force plays. They also had a strong 2v2 bot. They could have looked for some fights. But the early game skirmishing did not go in G2's favor. Mad Lions were in control. And the moment they got that slight lead, they moved around the map extremely quickly. They took top tower, they took bot tower, they kept getting kills, and they went toe-to-toe with G2, and you could see how with their comp, it was getting harder and harder for G2 to actually win out on these fights, while Kazi was just getting stronger and stronger. And even though G2 did get a huge fight in the enemy base, Mad Lions didn't back off. Mad Lions didn't just suddenly retreat. They didn't start playing scared. They went straight back to the base and said, okay, we messed up, we misexecuted, but I still think we can win, and I think that they did a great job.
Fantastic. Mad Lions earned that victory. They fought for it. They played well. And after the break, the expert will give you all the takeaways from the upset victory. There will be more playoffs action tomorrow. Don't forget Fnatic and Origin will be hitting the Rift. The winner of that series plays the winner of this series. We're back with more G2 Mad after this.
You know what I did? I'm on my job, I'm doing my thing, I'm pressing record, do it again. They said we got it, now I'm just talking, you should score. I'm going in, you are, get on my way.
We probably have the edge because I think in best of fives it's a lot about actually not playing by the book.
Fnatic are better in 2020 than they were in 2019.
Cooldown is your tip. Sniper with the hook shot comes out. Oh my god! Alfari with the 1, 2, 3!
Alfari isn't just winning, he's dominating.
Best of fives against Fnatic are always really close. They always have really good players on their roster. You have to be on top of your game to beat them.
I don't think the play styles are going to decide the match. It's about who plays better.
Charged up.
Hello, everybody. Let the game begin.
Welcome back, everyone, to the spring playoffs, where we've got our very first bombshell of the playoffs. Mad Lions with their best FPX cosplay, setting aside G2 Esports in Game 1. I'm personally very happy about the start and the unexpectedness. And Indiana, we talked so much about the preparation and the work done by Mad behind the scenes, and they come out with a draft that works perfectly well in Game 1. What was so good about it?
Okay, so I want to move away from the word good, and I want to call it very interesting. That must have been, like, the most obnoxious composition to ever face. You have to think you have, like, CC stacked on every single champion, and then you have Carzzy on his Kalista. So the idea is that everyone's CC'd, and then Carzzy's just gonna walk through people in elongated fights. I was talking to Ender. Aatrox and Kalista are pretty decent just because they have so much output of sustained damage, but I don't think this is, like, a god tier secret composition that beat G2. I do think it was a really interesting take, and quite like Vedius, who talked about it during the game, that had really clear, straight playthrough about like, yeah, CC everyone and Kalista kills everyone. But I do think it was really reliant on the snowball that Mad Lions did get. And they did a really good job of getting the snowball and then continuing to activate it. You know, they funneled all of those plates onto Carzzy. They skirmished really early on in the river and had the confidence to do so because there was so much CC loaded on their composition. But allowing Kalista to springboard so far ahead made her relevant that much faster and made her relevant that much longer. Basically, as soon as she got the GA, like, G2 lost the ability to play the game because they no longer had kill pressure on the Kalista. Whereas if they hadn't gotten that, there were options and tools that G2 had on their composition, in my opinion, to win that game, but they threw it away, like, lit it all on fire, and then it was like, okay, GG, go next.
I'm gonna stop you there for just 1 second, Indiana, because there's a lot of information coming our way now, and I understand that it's because we were hyped, so I do want to slow us down and break it down, because as you say, there was a lot that Matt did right about in this game, and let's start with that early game.
So, for me, like, I was of the opinion that this early game was way more important for G2 than it was for Mad. And I think that one of the things about a lot of the early skirmishes that we saw was the fact that so many of them went in favor of Mad was a large part of what made this game so much harder for G2 to play. Because one of the big advantages of their composition is they can send Lucian off into a side lane, and it's difficult for their opposition to actually be able to match him. But in order to get there, he has to have that kind of advantage. And I think that what Mad did very well in the early game was they collapsed around pressure very well. And I think G2 tried to force a lot of fights they were not in a position to do. So I was overall very impressed with how Mad handled the situation, but I also kind of want to talk a little bit more with Frosk about this perspective on the draft, because I was way more in line with the thinking that the longer this game went, I actually think it only became harder and harder for G2 to be able to win, just because if they ever tried to team fight, there was no real threat on the Kalista, meaning that she could always play on the back foot. And I think that the positioning of Carzzy and the way in which he used his ultimate made it almost impossible for G2 to ever really dive onto the back line.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, and it's always going to come down to execution, but I disagree in that there are tools. If you, Maokai, can't even say it normal anymore, Maokai W, the Kalista, which it was picked after they saw the Kalista, so I'm assuming that A, it was probably still a flex, that it could have gone into the support position that we've seen in the LCK or into the top lane position, and was a direct response to the Kalista, and then you Syndra ult, and then you set ultimate. Kalista should die before she hits the ground. But because, like you were talking about, Mad collapsed so well, got that early springboard, it meant that even when G2 did manage to get a hold of Kalista, they didn't have the kill pressure on anymore. And it just meant that there was a certain point in that game, I felt it was really the GA, the snowball, that they're like, okay, well, even if we do play this one correctly, we can't kill the champion anymore. And it was simply Mad continuing to struggle a bit in some of their decision making to close out the game, why it lasted, in my opinion, maybe about 7 minutes too long.
I'm going to turn it on the positive and say, yes, it took a little bit longer, but we have to remember these Mad Lions are in their very first playoffs, and they're up versus the reigning champions, and they win game 1. And I want to put the emphasis on how they did it when it was becoming more difficult, but because we had some skirmishes, we had shutdowns from the side of G2 Esports. And Indiana, something you mentioned is when you go into those next phases of the game normally, where G2 gets more of a free reign over map, that is where you have to be very, very careful as the opponent. And that's also why I think it was very impressive that Mad was still able to find the flanks and find the fights in the mid game.
Yeah, I think it brings up what Vedius was talking about earlier, which was a really good point, which is normally G2 funnel into this mentality where they want to play side lane, and unfortunately, because of how far and quickly they fell behind, they didn't get that access of putting perks into that side lane that Vedius was talking about. And so it was kind of like G2 threw away the early game, like, crap, what do we do now? How do we rethink this? And then they tried to stall out, but just kind of kept taking bad fight after bad fight. And Mad's composition, super obnoxious CC, just continued to roll them over. So I don't think this is indicative that, Mad have exposed the weakness of G2. I mean, we kind of already knew this about G2, that they're a little bit over eager to fight. They're an overzealous team. They like to flex against you. And Mad had a composition that punished that type of playstyle.
I think what was really interesting was not only how Mad executed a lot of these fights, but also how clean it was. And I think that something that we talked about at the beginning of the day was that Mad as a team have developed a lot as a team. It's not about superstars individually. It's not about people that necessarily shine. It's about how together they figured out what they're comfortable on and how they can better propel each other to shine more on the champions that they're so good at. A lot of that cast for me was looking at how well Kazi was playing, but Trevor kept bringing up, look at Arome, look at Shadow. Neither of them died that game, outside of, I think, the very final misplay that they made in the enemy's base. Like, everyone is coming together and they're doing their part, and I think you're really starting to see some of these big signature picks. Arome on Aatrox, can you afford to let him have that anymore? Gragas for Shadow, is that something you can afford to give him? And Kalista for Kazi, like, surely this has to be banned now. G2 have to ask so many more questions than they were asking before, because as Max said at the beginning of the day, we don't care about trying to stop G2 style. We just want to play our style. And I think that in game one, what we're seeing is their style is pretty damn good.
It is, and maybe, just maybe, all 5 of them are superstars, and we're just starting to see it. And I don't want to let us get too carried away, but I think it's normal that when the underdog gets a victory like this, you wonder where it can propel them. But I do want to bring us back down to earth and think about this G2 and the position they have been in, right? And when we take out the World Final, in no best of 5 they've ever played, in this iteration, they have been in a situation where after losing a game 1 and even 2 games in a row against Fnatic last year, that they didn't bounce back. So how did they bounce back in game 2? I believe you're muted again, but summarize, maybe ban out the Kalista.
And that's how they know.
Fixed. Vedius, your final thoughts? What does G2 do?
As Indiana was saying, she was talking about how she thinks that the Kalista does need to be you should heavily consider banning away the Kalista because it was the core essence of that composition. But for me, I think that G2 really need to reshape and rethink what their priorities in the draft are. I'm not entirely sure who is blue and who is red side coming into this game, but I think we're going to see a very big shift in G2's approach to the draft moving into game 2, and I expect them to bounce back.
Yeah, it was G2, but we'll see what they decide to go for. And our reigning champions, they have to get back to the drawing board. But they have been under pressure before, but they've always found a way to bounce back. Let's see if they can do that in game 2.
Get it on my seat.
we have no one really expects anything from you. Like there's no pressure, and all the pressure is like basically on G2 because they're expected to beat us, right? And if we can like cheese them a bit and they get a bit nervous, then we will have a better chance of winning.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Quick Shot joined by Yamato, and with a little bit of luck, we're going to be able to keep this connection up and stable. Yamato, game 1, Mad Lions won it.
My goodness, I'm unleashed. This was a crazy series because Mad Lions as well unleashed. 1-0. Who could have expected this? A strong early game as well. They got the Kalista, they popped off, and we have a series at their hand because G2 honestly looked like they were kind of in shambles. A lot of sloppy plays across the board. They gave up a lead, and Mad Lions stuck with that gold and made it work.
Yeah, they absolutely did. I was talking to Vedius in the game, and I said that Mad Lions earned that victory. They played well. They had the alley-oop in the draft with the Leona last pick, throwing that Nautilus into mid. And, you know, the team fights they played, the rotations around the map. For the first 15 minutes, I felt G2 had a bit of an advantage. And then all of a sudden, it bounces back, and Mad Lions, they just take control.
I love the reference to FPX and the Nautilus. It was something that worked so well. We've kind of lost track. I personally, Nautilus mid is something that I've forgotten about. You know, it got there. They had the CC composition. They could lock down the Syndra. That was pretty much the only threat because all of that gold was funneled into it. Nautilus ult into Orome flanks. It was just beautiful across the board for Mad Lions. And G2 need to step up and show us the true G2.
Now, that's the case, right? Look, you have to be honest, and you have to say G2 have a history, a long history of losing the first game in a best of 5 and winning the next 3. Very rarely is that not the case. So what do you want to see both from G2 to adapt, to even out the series and push us? And on a similar hand, do you expect changes from Mad Lions? Do they go with a similar sort of approach? Don't put Humanoid on an assassin. Don't put him in a position where he has to 1v1 perks. And if that's the case, you know, like, how do each of these teams find victory in game 2 of a best of 5?
I think the key thing that comes to mind is just ban that Kalista. Remove Kalista. You banned Taric the last time. You tried. Remove that from the get-go because you just don't know how to deal with it. It's okay. I get it. Just remove it. I hope the Taric ban turns into Kalista. G2 in general need to have a sharper plan in the early game. They need to make sure that there is some kind of fluidity in the way they play. Maybe, for example, 2v2 mid into bottom side. I want to see that early game Jankos that is worthy of an MVP in the regular split.
All right, Jankos called out by my man Yamato Cannon. I like it. Okay, one ban less. There's the Kalista. You called it. G2 on the blue side once again. Senna and Pantheon banned away from the Mad Lions. The last time it was Thresh. That was their third and final ban. And we've seen the Taric obviously swap for the Kalista this time around. Do G2 go for a Syndra first pick again? I wasn't in love with it. I didn't see it succeed in the previous game. But it could shape up the odds.
I think they should just go with it as a game. Red Sun is so good. Know where Syndra's gonna go because it reflects all the way into that pick. I like it. You don't play into Kalista, you're gonna bounce around and just walk away from all the kills. You can play the matches that is a bit easier. Aphelios not that mobile, as an example. Most likely the choice, maybe Misfortune, who knows. I like the Syndra first pick still.
Okay, and the pivot to Aphelios. So Kazi's Kalista is taken away. He's now locked in the Aphelios. What would you like to see paired with it? The Tahm Kench has been traditional.
Yeah.
That has now been locked in. I don't like the Catfish, but it makes sense for the champion, right? You need some safety, and that's a low mobility, you know, hyper damage champion in Aphelios.
It's kind of unique because usually we see Mad Lions just looking in the Misfortune. It gives them this early game power. Tahm Kench and Aphelios maybe highlights that they're not going to play like a bot lane centric game.
Okay, interesting. Look at this. Spicy Hot Pot coming in. Rumble plus Jarvan. So big changes on the side of G2. They went Set and Lee Sin in the previous game. What do you make of what we're seeing so far? And do you get a feeling that this Syndra is going to go bottom again?
Well, Aphelios also the Orn brother. But to speak about the Rumble Jarvan, I think yes, the Synod's gonna go bottom. Rumble is something that Perks hasn't shown yet, kept it in his back pocket. But these are the lockets that you want to see against a Tahm Kench and Aphelios. They're quite immobile. You put that cage down, the hot pot as you call it. You're making me hungry here, Trevor. I think it's just perfect. Throw some catfish in there for some flavor, you know?
Hey, that would be the plan. And G2, maybe they were hoping for an early dinner. It is not going to be the case today. An Ezreal banned away by Mad Lions. That one catches me a little off guard. If we're anticipating the Syndra going bottom, maybe the Rumble going top, or at least it being a possibility. Could go mid. What other 80 carries do you think could be banned away with the Kalista and the Ezreal off the table as well?
I feel like the target should be here, instead of banning 80 carries, just ban the top laners instead. We saw the set going into the bottom side. We saw the Maokai the last time. I think it's easier to target that top side champion pool instead of just banning 80 carries. Because Syndra most likely 100% of the time here when Rumble is picked is going to go into that bottom side. You need to ban those 80 top laners. So
Maokai first pick, then you put Orn, Humanoid mid, Maokai top for Arome. I mean, it's there. Aatrox is gone. Renekton is gone. Let's see what this last ban from G2 is going to be. They've removed the Lee Sin. So Shadow also has to find another jungler. Gragas is taken away as well. So what else raises? What would you like to see Shadow playing in the jungle?
We've seen him play Olaf, but honestly, Olaf against Jarvan's kind of strange. Oh.
No ways! Kindred?
Throwing the hotbot. It's more meat. Lamb.
Oh my word. Okay, but now what does this do to the composition? What do you make of this added into the Orn TK Aphelios?
So the 2v2 for Orn and Kindred is quite good, because Kindred's going to supply that 80 damage, good mixture of damage, but then also about the combination. That Lamb's Respite is going to make your team survive that big wombo combo that G2 wants to throw at you. So if Shadow is going to be precise with that ultimate, he can deny a lot of that burst damage from G2. That's what we just have to pay attention to in the fights later on.
Oh my word. And when you think about how Shadow played in game 1, his Gragas was very good. Barring one or two Gragas ultimates not finding targets, he landed so many, hits. And there's a few little pivots here from G2 Esports in the final lock-in. Oh man, I held my breath for that Swain. I was so hopeful it was going to happen. Ends up being the set. So set top, Syndra, Rakan bottom, Rumble mid. And now we're looking for a top lane here from Arome. That's going to be my guess for G2.
This is looking like a super, super strong early game team composition for G2. Orn is the type of champion that needs to wait, and Kindred the same way, needs to find those key kind of marks and then eventually find those 2v2s with the Orn. Summon a spell advantage at 6. G2, they start from minute 1, invading, pressuring, ganking. Rumble and Jarvan can definitely take over the game. This is the G2 that I want to see, the one that just puts on the fire from minute 1.
So how is this comp different from the previous one? That Maokai was locked in, so again, scaling, you need time for everyone on Mad's side. Comeback kids have done it in the past. Venice and I were talking a little bit about how G2's comp needed to get ahead early, but we didn't really see it come to fruition. So is this like doubling down on early game, or is it just a different style?
I think it's a bit different because the last composition, even though they needed to win the early game, they really couldn't, because Lucian kind of stuck in the mid lane against the Nautilus and Gragas. Many opportunities to gank. Lee Sin is not that powerful pre-level 6 without the kick, especially against the Nautilus that's going to itemize so much armor. And then the Kalista was just too strong against the Syndra. So the prio was ever from Mad Lions, and Shadow had too many opportunities to impact. So this is the key thing. G2 have more opportunities to kind of pressure through their lanes this time around.
Ooh, I like this idea. Opportunities to pressure. And then theoretically, if they are unable to do so, then what that means is Shadow on his Kindred, Arome on his Maokai, Humanoid on the Orn, they are going to be able to scale up. And those team fights are going to be very scary in the late stages of the game if they do not fall behind.
Yeah, they just need to survive. Survive is the name of the game, because G2, they have a lot of power that is front-loaded. Boom, set ultimate, Syndra ultimate, all of these powerful ultimates, but their consistent DPS output is not that high.
Well, let's jump into it. G2 versus Mad. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Yamato Cannon, you have survived the trial by internet fire, made it through a pick and ban, and when we got you back and connected, the first thing you did is type to me in all caps, literally going, mad 1 game 1, mad game 1 game 1, we've got a series on our hands. What are what are we expecting now? Because I got the feeling that you think G2's found another gear, that this comp, that they're going to ramp up.
Honestly, there's only two things that can come out of a 1-0. Either Mad Lions upset the whole series, which is crazy in itself, or G2 is really, really angry and we're going to see the maximum level of G2 because they honestly got humiliated in game 1. They need to prove something to us now because now what's in the memory is Mad Lions winning game 1.
I like that. G2 were humiliated in game 1. Yamato, you called this in picks and bans. You said early invades, early pressure. Use the comp that G2 have put together to bully, to get into the face of Mad Lions. And Shadow has already been pushed out of his northern quadrant of the jungle. Perks
Trevor,
is
did you
shoving.
see it? Mickey just was there. He was in bot lane. He was a part of the invade.
Yep.
That's wild.
just shoving with him. Mickey's backing it up. And down in the bottom lane, Caps happy to concede the farm, happy to back away. And, I mean, he's going to lose a few CS here, but he's not doing too bad.
Nothing too shabby. You see also Javan straight to his red buff. Shadow is going to try to counter invade, but he's a bit too late. Let's see if we have some action.
Okay, a little dance of arrows over the wall and takes a lot of damage from Jankos. This is looking scary. Flashes are available. That's going to be another hop over the wall. Jankos is going to decide not to chase. Doesn't get licked by Kaiser and no first blood available.
You think there when you don't have a support in bottom, the enemy bottom most likely is going to have prio. I know I like that jungle sees it because most of the time in solo queue, your jungler is gonna flash after that and die a horrible death.
Yeah, absolutely the case. And luckily this time around it doesn't happen. But both game 1 and game 2, we talked a lot about the 2v2s and how the teams want to sort of play around their bottom lanes or can play in their bottom lanes. That was one of the expectations that we had coming into this game.
I think it's going to continue in a similar fashion this time around because of the whole key thing about Rumble and Jarvan, how strong they are in the early game. They have the prio, they can push and they can pressure into that bottom side. No more Kalista that's gonna bounce around. No more Nautilus Gragas 2v2 mid that's so powerful in the early game. It is in G2's hand to make some action happen the first kind of 6 minutes in the game before Humanoid gets that ignite and that strong horn.
Well, here comes Rumble. He's going to use that scrap heap shield to move through the jungle, starting to overheat. Ooh. Humanoid flashes forward. Perks tries to sidestep. He's still got a flash available. Summoner heal used. Bottom lane from Mad Lions is the first to respond, but they're going to get cut off. They're going to get pincered in. They're going to get knocked up into the air. Defensive flash from Kazi. Now Humanoid goes down. First blood picked up by Caps. Kaiser's going to be the next target. That grey skin is doing a lot to keep him alive. Kazi firing over the wall. Flag, drag, knocked up into the air. It's time for G2 to brag as they pick up a kill. Kaiser goes down. 3 already done. If a red buff can apply, they might be able to get another. Shadow's going to step backwards. 3 kills picked up to G2.
It's an absolute disaster. I love how Perks controlled the river space. Kindred thought, oh, Java's on top side, I can just go in here. And Rumble just controlled it beautifully. We talked about it. G2's early game is just too powerful. Kindred and Ornn don't offer that much in these early skirmishes. Jarvan EQ. If you look at Mad Lions' composition, if you compare it to the last game, there's not like 3 CC abilities on every champion. Now we have this Tahm-Kench, you have this Aphelios. Sure, Aphelios in some cases can root, but it's just not enough. You have to avoid those early skirmishes at all costs for Mad Lions, and this is just really, really bad.
And is this what you were expecting to see out of the Jankos versus Shadow? You know, Shadow, he's been involved in a lot of the invades, and he was the one that started the fight, but Jankos and G2 finish it.
It's such a beautiful sacrifice from Mickey to commit to that level 1 because Set and Jarvan aren't as strong as level 1 champions. So Jankos got the red buff advantage. It makes such a huge difference in these fights. Jankos, when he gets an advantage, makes sure to use it. Perks was calling, brother, I'm covering this crab for you. Just back me up and we're going to win this fight. It happened and G2 is in a monstrous lead. 2,000 gold, 3 kills already. It is huge at this point in the game.
Yeah, exceptionally well done. I mean, 2,000 gold at 5 minutes is insanity. Jankos isn't done yet. Flag and drag is available to him. Easy knockup. Orome's got flash, but I just don't think it's worth it. Pulled back and Wonder gets another. Look down the kill score, Yamato. 1-1-1-1-1. It is only Mickey that's been left out.
And And Jankos, you know, he's spreading the good life to everyone. You want to gank on bottom, you want to gank on mid, you want to gank on top too. Orome makes it a bit easy because it doesn't flash the initial EQ of the Jarvan. He kind of was taking a nap there. I understand playing Maokai is not the most interesting thing, but Jankos picking up some easy kills here.
I mean, look at the CS as well. Like, Wonder is already up 20 CS and a kill. In the mid lane plus 10. Caps, who basically conceded the first 2 waves, is even kill and assist as well. I mean, this is a fantastic start. This is what I think everyone was expecting to see in game 1. And now the comeback kids are really going to be put to the test.
The key thing is G2's composition doesn't have an AD carry. Later on, these tanks are going to be unkillable. So it's important that G2 stick to having this lead, because a Maokai and an Ornn usually need an AD carry with 4 items to kill him. G2 don't have that backup in the end of the game, so it's important that they keep snowballing, because they have the opportunity to do so.
So Yamato, since I've got you back, and since we didn't get to tell this story in game 1, I would like to refresh it. For the viewers who did watch game 1, I do have the graphic ready for you this time around. G2 Esports second half of the split, they really improved their early game prowess. They stepped it up from the first half. And of course, as I start to tell the story, there's a little bit of an engage here on G2. But yeah, I mean, talk to me a little bit about how much more impactful G2 were in, you know, the pre-15 and you know, building up that performance.
Honestly, it stretches back even to last year. This was one of G2's weaknesses. They always outmaneuvered everyone in mid to late game with their decision making. The early game wasn't always their biggest strength. Many times in the LEC, they were behind a couple of thousands of gold, but no one really cared because you knew G2 would bounce back. G2 this time around have had a story of improvement. The question is always, what form do we have G2 in? And they've been super strong in the early game. Perks and Jankos dominating that 2v2 mid lane and spreading that across the board. I think it's very wonderful to see, and I'm excited for the form G2 is going to take coming into the rest of the playoffs and also this matchup.
And also, I mean, right at the beginning of the day, Yamato, you were talking about how this series sets the tone for playoffs. And Mad Lions picking up a win in a surprising fashion, earning that win, it sets that tone. You cannot disregard any of the opponents that are, excuse me, in the playoffs. Mad Lions showed they can tango with the best. They showed that they can earn the victory. They've surprised us a little with the draft. We've seen, you know, the Nautilus mid, now the Ornn mid. Arome's running for his life, and there is a dive potential. Cataclysm's up. Equalizer's up. I mean, Arome's just going to get burnt to a crisp. But then again, you also can't, you know, take a shot aggravating G2 Esports, because when you do, this is what happens.
For sure. It's like, if this is it's kind of like, you know, fighting a boss on one difficulty, and then just you beat him easily. You're like, okay, I'm gonna try him on a hard difficulty, and then it just smacks up with some new mechanics or something you've never seen before, making it look easy. Because G2 5-0 now, honestly, this gold lead is so massive at 9 minutes into the game. G2 is looking super dangerous. I don't know what happens if they go 0-2. Is that going to be like Super Saiyan World Championship winner G2, or is it going to be just kind of a disaster? So it's important that G2, you know, take this all the way to the Nexus, because maybe a 0-2 position G2 is a completely different G2 than what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, absolutely the case. And, you know, that G2 that you were talking about, I mean, Yamato, we had that storyline around how this version of G2 improved upon the early game weaknesses of the 2019 iteration. We're 10 minutes in, Arome 0-2, he's down 35 CS, and for a moment I thought he was about to get towered over again. But I mean, it's just, it's development and it's growth.
I like this approach more in the top side, as you mentioned. You know, Arome is so far behind. Like, I was surprised that Wunder went for the Maokai the previous game, because I want him to be the carnivore, and I think picking Maokai is probably the most vegan thing you can do if you're a top laner, right? And now with this matchup set into Maokai, he has opportunities to pressure. Jankos is ganking. Arome weak side usually dies to many ganks. I think Wunder can snowball this and really impact them.
4,000 gold lead, and the carnivore vegan reference you were making was for visualization purposes. This is not a comment on people who choose the vegan lifestyle. I know my man Yamato was definitely not implying that in any way, shape, or form.
Of course.
But it is true, isn't it? Like, Arome has tended to be that guy that's played like on an island, sort of been left to his own devices. Unfortunately, this game, it's hurting him really badly. You contrast, he's got a Barmy's Cinder, versus a completed blade.
The G2 makes some mistakes because they need to just kind of bandage themselves and stop the bleeding. It isn't a question of aggression, it's a question of how can G2 screw up, how can G2 not do aggression, because everything is in G2's hands.
Yeah, I mean, look at this tower dive already on the cards. Teleport available for Wonder. Perks hasn't left lane yet. Just as I say that, he starts to make the roam. So, Spicy Hot Pot is available. Give me a quickness into a Cataclysm, into an Equalizer. Come on, G2. Not going to do it just yet. By the way, 4,000 gold in the lead. This is not going to end well, Mad Lions. This is not going to end well. Mad Lions, Nature's Grasp goes out. Arome gets knocked up into the air. The Ord Horn has been summoned. I may have been wrong. Shadow gets chunked down. He's got the Lamb's Respite available, but Arome is the first one to fall. It's traded for Mickey's life. 1 for 1, make that 2. As Caps goes down, and I was proven wrong. Mad Lions hit back 2 for 1.
This is very, very positive for Mad Lions. They have the composition that wants to scale with the Ornn, with the 10 steps there. They need to push Kindred out of the bot side jungle before they go for that dive, because they are fighting 5v5 on bottom. They can create such happen.
When does that window close? You know, because obviously they're down like 3k, right? 12 minutes. They're down a dragon, down 4 kills. So is it 2 items? Is it 3 items? Is it gold? What are you looking for if you're a Mad Lions supporter and you want to see them coming back into this game?
I think it's by the time where Ornn is going to start building items, Ornn level 13, 14, which is very, very far from here, right? If G2 can take these early drakes and kind of push us towards that climax around the soul, then it's going to be much...
Down Equalizer splits up Mad Lions. Now all of a sudden it's a 3v2. Humanoid buys a lot of time with that stopwatch. Now he's the one that's backing away. Devour continues to do work here on the Mad Lions squad, and there's a lot of escalation, but nobody goes down, Yamato Cannon.
What is this Rift Herald?
Did it time out? I think it was about to time out, right?
I hope so.
I think it was going to time out, but I mean, really, really interesting engage. I like the fact that Mad Lions down in gold are still willing to fight. Goal shot between the uprights. Caps is able to sidestep as all of a sudden the Rift Herald's down bottom, and that was a very interesting passage of play.
Honestly, I love how this Rift Herald turns into be a genius play, because Mad Lions decide to engage on mid lane. The Rift Herald gets the plating gold just before the platings go away. So honestly, who am I to question this Herald?
And not only that, it all landed in perks. If we can flip over to the gold really quick. 302, 1,000 gold up. So 1k out of the team's 5k's in back pockets. Wonder is 2,000 gold above Arome. The carnivore top laner versus the vegan top laner. And it's doing so much work.
Let's see if they can actually dive Wunder here. I think it's kind of dangerous because Wunder is quite tanky, but the CC is there. Maokai has to start it. Third. Oh.
Let's take a look. I'm waiting for the face break and the showstopper. Super Saiyan 2 has been triggered. Oh, Wonder. He's doing some pressure here. Flash away. Needs to get the shield up. Slam dunk with the tower. Not going to be enough. The Mad Lions will be able to pick up the kill. They cost themselves 2 flashes, though, but it will open up some time on the tower.
That's important, Mad Lions. I think that the key way of them playing the game to stop the bleeding, they need to make sure that they make plays on the map the opposite side of where G2 does it. Wonder tends to die a lot on side. We've seen it in plenty of games. Mad Lions, the first time they won against G2 was when LeBlanc got kills over and over on Wunder's Aatrox. This is the right approach. This is what I like the Origin playstyle. You divide the map, make a play on the other side, make sure that you get some gold out of the fact that you lose the bottom turret.
Yeah, really nicely done. But don't you find that impressive for a team of Mad Lions experience, down 5,000 gold, yet still able to find a play that nets them at least something back? You have to give credit to this youthful squad.
For sure, it's always with you know, young rookies that are so explosive and take over the scene. It's usually like mechanical players that do flashy things from the mid lane or the bot lane. But Mad Lions is a very intelligent team. I think when it comes to mid and late game decision making, they can definitely find themselves on par with the top 3, which is honestly incredible. And I give a lot of that credit to the cerebral roles that is support and jungle. They tend to be at the right place at the right time, post 10 minutes, almost always.
And that's why Mad Lions have historically been able to pick up those wins. You know, they earn their place in the upper half of the bracket. I said this a little earlier, but whoever wins this series will be playing the winners of Fnatic versus Origin. And Kazi and Kaiser in so much trouble. There's a flash available for Kazi. He will be able to make his way to Shadow and go the way of G2 Esports, and that one hurts.
That one hurt indeed. I loved how Mickey zoned out Kindred to make sure no Lambra spites would come down, even though I don't think it would matter.
No,
Mad
definitely
Lions
not.
completely get collapsed on. It was complete destruction there.
Oh man. Okay, so now all of a sudden you can say with a high level of confidence, G2 should win this game. And we go back to this drawing board where G2 drastically changed their drafts in the second game of the series. They go full early game and they execute. Mad Lions, on the other hand, they have a similar flavor to game one, albeit with more scaling this time. As we see this utter destruction here, you know, what are the players and the coaches and the support staff thinking as this is likely going to be a 1-1 series?
I think the key thing to think about is just giving up that Syndra over and over. I think it makes sense if you can trade it for the Kalista, then you have something that is mobile. Kazi seemed very confident in the 1v1 matchup. When Syndra gets locked in, most of the time he's going to go into that bottom side because Caps likes to play just a few picks on bottom, stick to them. That's how they maintain Caps' comfort because he's playing a new role. I think Syndra bans need to start flowing, especially if you need to go another blue side. Just trade it for a Kalista ban, keep the trash in the game, and put Caps in a situation where he needs to play something else. Maybe push him on the Talia again, and then maybe you have more options because Syndra is so safe and so strong against these immobile carries in the bottom.
Well, let's see how this fight plays out. Wonder will be able to go golden. And look at that. Humanoid considered backing away. Horn comes out. That's a long-range snipe with the evil goat. Wonder goes down. 2 deaths to his name. But I do want to draw a little bit of attention to Perks as we're getting close to 20 minutes. He's got the Morellonomicon, got the Haunting guys. 4-0-3 on that Rumble. It was a first phase pick. And when you want your mid laner, your captain, the face of the organization to step up, just picks up the Leandri's Torment now, and he's leading from the front, showing G2 the way that he wants to play and the way that he wants the rest of the series to land.
Also, to think that last year he was playing AD carry in the World Finals, winning MSI and all, and just coming back to the mid lane and easily proving that he's the best mid laner in Europe that is currently playing. I know there's a conversation with Caps, blah, 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 but focusing on Perks, the fact that he also picks up these new champions is also beautiful. We have a little fight.
Yeah, we do indeed. Humanoid's going to look for that connection onto Caps. They will find him. He ended up using his flash. Survives a little longer than I was expecting. It's Kazi's Aphelios that picks it up. Mad Lions are still down 5,000 gold, but with no, I was going to say AD carry, with no mage in the bottom lane, G2 Esports are going to concede this dragon and instead shove the wave. Jankos and Mickey, do they fancy a dive? Do they go for the steal? This would be bold. Jankos is sniffing for it. Mickey does not have the quickness available, and they will start to back away. I keep holding my breath because I feel like G2 are going to go in at any moment.
Syndra has TP, Set has TP.
Oh my word, there's that spicy hot pot into the knockup and the quickness. In a 3v4, G2 managed to connect. Humanoid completes the teleport. Now Lamb's Respite is buying some time. It will keep everyone alive, but not until the explosions. The Ornhorn comes down. Wonder is starting to smash the faces of Mad Lions. Shadow goes flying. And now Humanoid and Arome are running for their lives. The Flame Spitters and the Electro Harpoons are running them down. Perks on that Yordle mech pilot is trying to chase out. The dragon goes the way of Mad, but the team fight goes the way of G2.
It's a massive gold swing in G2's favor. The key thing was Mad Lions' timing on the TP and all killing Caps. It was nice. They got the Mountain Drake. If they get out of this unscathed, it looks like a nice situation. They get the Mountain for the tanks, but instead G2 waits so patiently. They know the TPs are gonna come. Set is TPing up top and they start the fight. Very explosive onto the Tahm Kench. And it was just easy. They're just too far ahead. The damage numbers that Rumble is just outputting right now is just too cranish the rest of the targets off.
I mean, when you think of the item advantage, Morello's and Leandri's already pre-20 minutes. I think Perks went into that fight at 403. He comes out of it at 505. He's got a 550 gold bounty. You've now got Leandri's and Luden's Echo completed for Caps. Gold differences plus 1.6k. Sorry, observers, I'm trolling you there a little bit. In the top lane, it was around 2k. Still a 30 CS advantage. And look, G2, it's a fantastic lead, right? So, how do they finish the game? How do they win?
Honestly, I just want them to start controlling the top quadrant there of Mad Lions' jungle. make sure that the Mad Lions are pushed out and that they are forced to face check. G2 can start pressuring the Nasher, because if they fight in this area that is highlighted here with Mickey's contesting, all of a sudden that Rumble ult is going to be doing too much damage and they can force the fights that they need to force. Right now they have the key items, they have the Morellos, they have the Leandris to reduce any healing, and Leandris for the max percentage HP. As soon as the Void Staff start landing as well, Mad Lions tanks are going to scale a bit too late into this game.
Yeah,
Another
definitely. Another one indeed. The amount of team fight AoE is actually just disgusting. Look at that. Cataclysm into the quickness, into the equalizer, and yes, the Ornhorn from Call of the Forge God was great, but what does it matter? There's just not enough time. Nature's Grasp now starts to turn around. Shadow will have Lamb's Respite in a few minutes, but I don't really think Mad Lions want that fight, and they back away.
It's so tricky without mid-turrets for Mad Lions to even walk out on the map. The engage from G2 is so strong, the follow-up. Jarvan can cover so much distance with his EQ into the Cataclysm. It is very difficult for Mad Lions to play. They need to kind of just hope for the best, look for the engage as 5, and hope that the tank bros are good enough to win the fights now before the Void Staff start coming in.
I like that. The tank bros. That's a good one. The thing is, I don't think G2 are going to give them a chance. It feels like every one of the team fights that's happened, G2 has found a way to kind of start the skirmish with a numbers advantage on their terms. So now I start asking, let's look forward. What do you want Mad Lions to do to change when we come into Game 3?
So I mentioned that Syndra ban, right? That Syndra ban is very important. The question is also Shadow's champion pool. Maybe they need to pick a jungler first 3, because this Kindred has been very uninteresting. Jankos took over the whole game. I want to see Shadow back on that Gragas and Lee Sin, because that's what he's comfortable on. The Kindred was cute. It was a nice plan with the Maokai and the Ornn. You have some damage. But honestly, cute is not what we're going for. This is not a Hello Kitty stream. This is LEC playoffs.
It is indeed. And that Hello Kitty composition from Mad Lions just got eaten alive. I mean, G2, they went full early game. Our expectations based on how these teams play early game was this, that G2 were going to be able to just get ahead. Wonder with his Blade of the Road King and Black Cleaver is just beating that poor tree to death right now.
Oh, it's so mean. I love the sound, like of hitting the bark that you mentioned before. You know, dish dish. I really enjoy it. Another lo-fi beat, maybe.
Maybe actually. if our observers can get a chance to listen to Wonder hammering on Maokai, good luck with that one. But maybe we can turn that into another track as Call of the Forge God is summoned. Yes, it gets a catch onto Mickey, but that's just not enough. I'm waiting for G2 to re-engage. Cataclysm, Quickness, Equalizer are all available. They're thrown down the mid lane. Shadow forced to get devoured. Lamb's Respite not used. He's not with his team, so it's not going to matter. The Mountain Rift is causing some obstruction for any follow-up, and despite a number of ultimates being thrown, nobody has died yet. That's a big stun onto Humanoid. The Mountain Drake is available for the taking. Humanoid, flash for flash, traded with caps. Unleash power gets exhausted, so it won't do a whole lot. Now the turnaround. Wonder continues to chase. Lamb's Respite comes down. The true damage chunks down the Mad Lions. Flame Spitter and Overheated mean the perks can't do more. Electro Harpoon is to burn that guy down. Shadow's escaping for his life for now, and Kazi will get chunked. The ace is on the cards. Kaiser is being killed, and Shadow manages to escape. G2 Esports, 10k gold up, just about. Get themselves a Mountain Drake. They're one away from Soul. They've got the Earth, the Wind, the Fire. They're missing a record label, and maybe they can go for Baron.
My goodness. Are we in September? What month is it?
Oh, really good. It's the only track I know, my friend.
Me too, man.
Oh, well, there we go. We only got one punch onto Shadow. Wonder's doing his best anime impersonation. I forget what One Punch Man's name is. Do you watch anime?
Baldy.
His name's not Baldy. Oh, you've just infuriated a lot of weebs out there. Well, Baron is picked up. It is now 10,000 gold in the lead. And yeah, we do have a very interesting series developing. I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone that stuck with us through those tech issues. Things started, I'm feeling confident. But Yamato, talk me through this team fight, because it started very dragged out and then it just ended G2 favors.
It's just how nice G2 stall out these key abilities. The tank bros, they are hanging on tight, they don't die so slow, but the poke is happening, One EQ, maybe eventually 10 Syndra Qs is enough to pull down an Ornn and a Maokai, They stalled out the ultimates, and then the clinical flash here from Caps just here when Humanoid goes zoom. Very, very nice. That could have been the key engage to kill Caps, and maybe the fight looks different. But then the stun comes down. Ornn and Maokai can't do so much. They have the Lamb's Respite saving Mad Lions for a couple of more seconds. But honestly, who cares? Because G2 is still in full force. They're not so reliant on ultimates. And there we go. Mad Lions is down with the Nasher and the Mountain.
The draft. How much does that change when you start looking into the next game? When you start realizing, all right, this is the monster that we anticipated in G2, and they feel warmed up.
Yeah, sometimes you need to just. The conclusion is we just gotta play better, and that's rough. Coming up against G2, here we have another engage, and it's just such a beautiful hotspot as you mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely the case. There's the engage there from Wonder. He manages to get the showstopper down. Arome chases forward. This will be a kill onto Wonder. Jankos is still looking to dissuade Mad Lions from pushing, but with the Baron is, pushing forward. The minions tearing down the tower. They've zoned away all of the Lions from the turret. Now the inhibitor is going to be the focus. And G2 Esports will start to back away. Teleport coming in from Humanoid. No flash to get over the wall. He's going to have to run the long way around. Buy so much time. That teleport, you've arrived to watch the fight end. He'll try get that volcanic charge. Looking forward, gets a knockup, but it's onto Caps. He's going to be able to move away. It's Mickey that goes down first. Now Arome, he needs to get Sap Magic before damage comes down, and he does not. That's a double kill. Turning it back around, Caps goes down. And it's just a little bit crazy. 3 death on Mad and 4 dead for G2.
If G2 decided to have some fun, this was the time to do it right before the soul spawns. Okay, Perks. Okay, Perks.
Is he not done yet? The overheat, the flame spitter. Hit him with the drill! Not gonna do it. The shield from Humanoid keeps him alive.
I was just trying to mention, it was just, this is the right time to die. G2, the Nasher is running out, the fire is happening, very nice barbecue there. Every key ingredient is in it, the tom cans, the lamb. Everything is delicious, but then, they survived the initial impact. They are tanking a turret, Wunder falls down. He's not that tanky with that itemization. Has his Mercury, Black Cleaver, and of course Blade, but he needs to keep punching and play the fight slow in order to make it happen. G2 kind of overstep, but I mentioned this is the right time to do it because the Drake is not up. They're not going to lose that Drake, and they can prepare for the next mount.
Lions, they are really trying to push back, but their comp is just too far behind. The damage that Caps and Perks is putting out is overwhelming the tank bros. And then you've got Saitama in Sets Wonder that is just one punch manning it up and taking down every raid boss. The name came to me like a vision when you don't need it. I'm in the middle of a team fight. I was watching Perks on Rumble and I stumbled over my words because I was like, it's Saitama! I'm like, thank you, brain. You're about 4 minutes late.
I haven't watched One Punch Man, but considering Seth always punches twice, I don't know if it fits. I don't know the story of Saitama, Baldy. I just know how he looks like,
Yeah, he does throw several punches, but it's always like the final blow is just OP as hell.
Oh, okay, false advertising.
Yeah, exactly.
One Punch Man.
But it's because you're always waiting for that one punch. That's what it is. It's anticipation. Equalizer just completely stops this. Where's the minimap? Incoming Wonder. I was waiting to see if a fight was going to break out, but easy Drake start here. Teleport now completed from Arome. Nature's Grasp is in a pretty good position, actually, to catch G2 out. Wonder would need to teleport. He's got the ultimate up, and they start to back away. Let's see where this engage goes. Perks, no equalizer. Remember, he had to use that in the mid lane. That's a flash engage. The 3-man knockup. Mickey, you are a monster. It doesn't stop the dragon from being secured, but it looked hella good. Tight corridors, manages to find 2. Mickey hops over the wall. Perks has been around long enough that Equalizer's almost available. So much damage onto Caps. He stays alive a few seconds longer. Gets himself another stun with another unleashed power. G2 continue to push. Why are these fights so long? 36 kills in 31 minutes. The Equalizer's a cooldown. It's burning down again. Humanoid is the Mad Lion sniper with the Devil Ore. And Saitama is pushing the Nexus. Flash forward, pulls back Shadow. Lamb's just buys time. The body slam. Wonder gets out alive. He's not done yet. The Devour comes out, spit back, punch him in the face. My word, Wonder, you are a monster. And that was incredible.
It was so nice how G2 was just playing with their food. Mad Lions wanted to base. They were looking at their Nexus and they were just seeing how Seth was punching every building down. Almost took it all the way. Mad Lions tried to recall, and then eventually, you know, G2 had to give up some members to kind of, you know, try to continue this push. But Mad Lions fight to live another day, but with a significant gold disadvantage is looking quite grim.
Yeah, Yamato Cannon, you might need to buy me some time in a moment or two, because I think I'm just going to have to go tell my neighbors that nothing untoward is happening in this household. Everything's fine. And these loud noises are just from excitement. But that was so fun. Fully completed heads of this lineup. There's no way that it can't.
Trying to picture a world where Mad Lions come back, but it's very, very difficult. I'm just going to make more psychedelic references. I'm going to skip it this time. Here we go again, Wunder.
Okay, let's see what he can do. Showstopper comes down. I think this one might just be to run away. Goes golden, buys some time. Manages to keep hammering. That shield is huge. Can he turn it around? He's got himself one. Shadow's running for his life. He gets pulled backwards. Wonder's not done yet. Steps forward. Doesn't want to jump into Wolf. Wolf is scary. Lamb is not. Honestly, Set is just imber. Like, there's no doubt about it. A new challenger appears. It's wildly effective. And while Shadow will get some damage here down onto Wonder, it does feel like it is just a matter of time. Yankos pokes him with the flag, and they get the 28th kill of the game. 44 kills in 34 minutes. We're not done yet, and the Nexus turret is being focused out. G2 Esports make a statement win in Game 2 of the series, shutting down Mad Lions from 4 minutes into the map, and Wonder's even going to have enough time to a showstopper into the fountain. G2 even the series 1-1.
My goodness, G2, they've been awoken. They are angry. The early game started with the slam Mickey just joining on that invade, and Jankos taking that small advantage, blowing it up completely together with perks. They continued, got that massive lead, a big enough lead for them to kind of play around a little bit and clown a little bit. I think that's the G2 position that they love to be in, where they get to play around and have some fun as well in the game.
I think to myself, Yamato, like, you know, I was joking a little bit about the FPX Nautilus, right? And like get in their heads, you know, maybe it features, it's not going to be a primary reason, but let's not kid ourselves, right? You see Nautilus mid, everyone's going to remember. Now all of a sudden Mad Lions going to game 3 thinking, well, that was a bit embarrassing. That one hurt. You know, like G2 got to style on us. Wonder got to literally dance around people emulating anime characters. And now Mad Lions, their resilience is going to be tested.
This is just a question of digging deeper. What did FPX play more than just Nautilus? I can't remember at this point in time.
We have some time to research, Yamato Cannon. So let's do some research, because in a few minutes, we're going to hear what Mad Lions coach Mac has to say ahead of Game 3. Don't forget to join us tomorrow for our second series. It'll be Fnatic versus Origin, and the winner of that series will play the winner of this series.
Everything they do or try to do is by the book, and we are the complete opposite.
You know what I did? I'm on my job, I'm doing my thing, I'm pressing record, do it again. They say whatever, and now I'm talking, you should score. I'm going in, can't stop, you are get on my way.
We probably have the edge, because I think in best of fives it's a lot about actually not playing by the book.
Fnatic are better in 2020 than they were in 2019.
Cooldown is Rajab sniping with the the hook shot comes out. Oh my god! Alfari with the 1, 2, 3!
Alfari isn't just winning, he's dominating.
Best of fives against Fnatic are always really close. They always have really good players on their roster. You have to be on top of your game to beat them.
I don't think the play styles are going to decide the match. It's about who plays better.
Charged up.
Hello, everybody. Let the game begin.
shout out loud. I say a little prayer for it. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh my, I say a little prayer. Touch me now. I throw my hands and make me wanna shout out loud. I say a little prayer for it. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh my, I say a little prayer for your love, yeah. Lay me down 'cause I love it. I say a little prayer for your love, yeah. Lay me down 'cause I love it. I say a little prayer. Touch me now. I throw my hands and make me wanna shout out loud. I say a little prayer for it. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh my, I say a little prayer. Touch me now. I throw my hands and make me wanna shout out loud. I say a little prayer for it. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh my, I say a little prayer for your love, yeah. Lay me down 'cause I love it. I say a little prayer for your love, yeah. Lay me down 'cause I love it. I say a little prayer. Little prayer for it. Little prayer for it.
Welcome back, everyone, to our expert panel as we are breaking down our very first best of 5 in playoffs G2 Esports versus the Mad Lions. And after being in a big deficit and eventually suffering a loss in Game 1, G2 Esports have fought back in Game 2, and I think that's putting it lightly, Vetty.
There were lots of questions being asked around whether G2 would come back and be instantly super strong, or if they would continue to struggle throughout the series. And I think we got to see that it was definitely the angry G2 that came out in Game 2. I think that, well, I was reading social media and I saw some debate around who actually won the draft, and I was personally a big fan of G2's draft, largely because I think it gave them so many early game options, which I think just enables this team a lot more. And I think that also the moment that this comp gets ahead, it becomes very difficult to stop because of how strong its dive potential is.
Yeah, I think it's a discussion always, like, there's clear scaling options. And Vetty, you and I, we talked about this during the game itself. Obviously, when you look at Mad's composition, its ability to fight front to back is exceptionally strong in the late game if you're on even footing. You even have the cute little Kindred pick right there. Like, you see things like a Syndra, you're like, okay, you can't just blow up my Aphelios between a Kindred and a Tom Kench. We have the tools to save him. But because, like you're saying, G2 got so snowballed, and Perks in particular was huge, you had a massive Snumble who was just ulting into the back line and basically destroying Aphelios. Like, I said it repeatedly during that game to you, Shocks, is like, Aphelios can't play this game. There's nothing he can do. Jarvan is flying at him, Rakan is flying at him, Rumble is dropping the ultimate on him. It's like a Gangplank ult, but worse.
Yeah, it was actually hilarious because we discussed the game, of course, during the game, and I just saw you typing, what is he supposed to do? How is he supposed to not die? Who is supposed to help this Aphelios? And I think a lot of why it was so difficult for them is because In game 1, it all went Mad's way in the early game, but in game 2, it went all G2's way, and they had a 3k gold lead at 6 minutes.
And I think that that was the biggest point, because when you look at Mad's comp, it's really important that they stay even, especially during the early game, because as we talked about, when G2 get ahead, it's actually very easy for them to continually force these fights, but more importantly, continuously dive onto the Aphelios. And this was really the first fight that swung things in favor of G2, because when you can see the start of this, Mad want to try and get the same collapse onto G2 that they actually got in game 1. But you'll notice Humanoid, very low on mana, and while Kaiser and Kazi are rotating up first, it's actually G2 that's setting up this collapse. Arome's not in a position to TP and actually assist because of the amount of pressure that the set is generating in the top side. And this ties back to what Yamato was saying as well, where he wanted to see Wonder on more of a carry champion. He doesn't like to see Wonder on these Maokais. He wants to allow this top laner to generate this pressure so that when G2 is allowed to play this 4v4 style and primarily utilize the strength of their 2v2 mid jungle, that's when you get to see the really early game strength. And I think that this collapse was well executed by G2, and with this initial momentum, they kind of ran away with the game.
And while I agree with you in the sentiment that like that wasn't the nail in the coffin, that was simply like the beginning of a snowball, and then I think it was like the third fight from there where we just kind of pushed back from our desk. We're like, this was probably over. It's still kind of a head scratcher, or maybe even something to flag, that's now 2 games back to back where both Mad and G2 have kind of, for me, really decided the game or teed it up on an early river skirmish. And the first time, Mad had so much CC, it was really easy for them to fight. The second time, they were eliminated a lot of that CC, they were eliminated a lot of the power picks like the Callista, and they couldn't fight on the same footing, but they were still doing it, and it was such a random fight to take. And that's something to keep track of over the course of this series. Like, I kind of expect G2 to chase Mad around because they just want to punch down on them and murder them, but I think that there is a lot of questionable decisions and questionable fights being taken by both these teams that are leading to very heavy snowballed games.
And to me, that kind of indicates that maybe these teams aren't so different from each other. And I know we heard comeback kids a lot, but I think it's important to kind of emphasize it isn't because they don't do anything in the early game, Matt. In the second half of the split, particularly, they just took risky fights and made decisions that could go either way, which led to them in some cases being behind and having to fight back. It wasn't from a lack of trying, it was more from taking too many risks and it falling to the wayside. And I think that is a very important distinction to make, because that's how these 2 games have been decided. First game, it goes in Mad's favor and they can snowball. Second game, it goes in G2's favor and they can snowball.
And I think it kind of goes back to this idea that when you're a new squad and you're still kind of learning the essentials of how to play together, how to play the game, and what your style is going to be, of course you're going to rely on winning fights first, because that's kind of the easiest way to think about League of Legends. And like, don't get me wrong, Mad sometimes do really impressive macro decisions. They are a cleaner team than we've seen from some of our younger squads, but they still rely very heavily in terms of moving the chains and advancing tempo and winning games off of winning fights. And against a team like G2, I'm sorry, that makes it a bad stylistic matchup, which is why not where G2 were only favored because they're the best team in the LEC, but also like if Mad win games by fighting and you're going to try to fight G2, that's probably going to be lights out.
What I also find funny about G2 is when you look back at a lot of their best of 5s, the first game normally goes quite badly for them. It's usually one of their worst games, and we talked about it at the very beginning of the day. They're a team that ramps up. You only have to look at the final from last year in spring when they did have the fastest final in EU history, and it's just got progressively faster and faster. Same in MSI, faster and faster. And in the Fnatic series, like, the last game is probably where G2 looked the cleanest out of all of them, and I think that what we're starting to see is G2 starting to break out of their shell. They've kind of dusted some of the rust off. They're now starting to feel it, and you can see that a lot more of the execution was so much cleaner as well. Like, Wonder and Mickey had a fantastic game. It was like a complete opposite to what we saw in game 1, and I think that as the series progresses, things are only going to get more challenging for Mad as the G2 players start to really warm up.
I do think, though, that Yamato brought up a really good point about the Syndra and the really high priority on it. Yes, it's a flex pick, and so it makes sense from blue side that you would prioritize something like a flex pick so you're not drafting face up, and it does work for Caps. But also, if you push him off of it, if you take that away, if you deny it, does Caps immediately go for the Talia? I think there are champion pool issues here, potentially, that maybe for all I know, Caps has been practicing. He's like ready to pull out like the traditional ADCs, or maybe he has different picks that he thinks work into the bot lane, like the Akalis or the Kianas or whatever it happens to be. But I want to know if he actually gets pushed for it. If Mad actually have the ability to shove him off of the Syndra, to get him off of the Talia, and maybe expose something that G2 will struggle with over the course of playoffs.
Well, when we talk about picks and bans, there's something else I'd like to ask you. We've now seen for 2 games in a row, we had the Humanoid on the Nautilus. We now saw him on the Ornn again, something we haven't seen from them that often stylistically. And I'm left kind of wondering, is this a good strategy or not? Because they did win 1 game and lose 1 game with it. What do you think?
Well, I think that it's an interesting approach, because to me it seems like Mad's philosophy is, I think we can control G2 in the early game, and by going for this double tank strat, we actually always have that scaling option. And when Frost was talking about it earlier, this idea that Mad is planning on looking to win games through team fighting by having the better scaling comp, then you're just better set up for success. All you have to do is make sure you're not giving away those early game advantages. And I think that in both games, we've seen a mistake from G2 and a mistake from Mad. Now in game 3, we need to see both of them clean it up, and rather than find these convenient advantages for them to build off of, I want to see some clean execution of the goals of their comp. And if Mad wants to commit to go for more of a scaling draft with this double tank, then they need to play more defensively and wait for those later fights before trying to force any objectives.
Yeah, the inclination is to say that G2 has now well and truly rather left the station and is primed to take the next 2 games. But I wouldn't count the Mad Lions out yet, because we've done it before and it came to bite us. But a lot will be up to the coaching staff, and in particular Coach Mac, to come up with a good plan for that game 3. And Laura will have an interview and a quick chat with him after the break before we get into that game 3. We'll be right back.
Yep. Go interview.
Thank you, Shox. G2 strike back here against Mad Lions. Joining me right now is Matt Mac, head coach of a rookie team. How are things going so far, Mac? Intense series from our side.
Fun series, really fun series. I mean, honestly, the players are actually really enjoying it. We are really happy that we got to play G2. I think that they're a good matchup for us, and yeah, basically we're taking the fight to them, as I hope is showing.
So what happened in game 2? Lots of action bot side, River in the early game once again, but this time it didn't go quite your way. Was it the determining factor here, according to you?
Game 1, we fought too early for our comp. I think our comp outscaled them pretty hard. I mean, the fights were getting really, really hard for them into the late game, even though we were super far behind. But basically, we fought before we managed to hit any of our spikes, and they invaded us on top level 1, which we didn't respond like that appropriately to, so the game got a bit out of control.
Okay, you think you could have come back after this play in the jungle, or was the game settled back then?
The game looked pretty winnable to me. I think we almost won that game, honestly.
And one thing the casters mentioned was the Syndra making her way out of bans twice here. Why did you think it was not worth banning the champion so far?
I don't think there's any need to be afraid of it. I mean, we're literally the only team that's left it up against G2 this split so far, I think. But I don't think it's a big deal as long as you're comfortable that you have something to play into it. I mean, the first game we had Kalista to play into it, and like if they're going to give Kazi Kalista, then I'll take that any day, you know?
But it was removed so far, and as we're coming into game 3, what can be expected in terms of adjustments from your side and G2's side?
It's looking a lot like this game was being decided by who has the ability to fight each other to the death the best. So we will be doing that. We will be fighting them to the death a lot. I think the ability to fight early is really, really, really important in this series, honestly. So expect some fun things from the next game.
And we'll keep an eye on the early game then. Thank you very much, Mac, for the interview. Good luck for the rest of this series. And we're going to take a break now and coming back in 3 minutes for game 3.
All good?
All good.
Alrighty.
And welcome back to round one of the LEC Spring Split Playoffs in the 2020 season. I'm Quickshot, joined once again by the madman Yamato Cannon. And as we dive into draft, I just want to reiterate what Yamato was talking about during the course of the previous game. Get Shadow onto something like a Lee Sin or Gragas, and maybe get Humanoid something a little bit more impactful. Yamato, what would you like to see happen in this draft?
First of all, I hope the Syndra ban comes in, because that's super, super important. Thank God. And now I want G2 to just first pick set, because honestly, it's crazy that G2 are allowed to. Whoa. Okay, no set. Mad Lions are just going to lock in set Lee Sin for sure, or a Gragas, or any type of jungler that Shadow is comfortable with. Because honestly, for me, the fact that G2 got away with picking set twice on blue side in second phases and also in first phases has been crazy to me. Set is such a strong flex pick. It can be played support, can be played top lane. Such a strong champion that excels at every point in the game.
What do you make of this big pivot here for Caps? Obviously with Syndra being banned away, going straight to the Aphelios, with Senna being banned away as well, there's the set in the Lee Sin that you were hoping to see, and you've already mentioned that set is that flex pick. So we can, play, we can see where that's going to go. But yeah, Caps, Aphelios, and first pick, what do you think?
Honestly, I'm worried, because it gives me flashbacks to Caps kind of running it down against Misfits. That was the champion, Aphelios. I think ever since then we haven't seen it back again, so I'm hoping that G2 practices a lot. At least Thresh is not banned because it's been replaced by the Syndra ban, so he does have that added net of safety, but it's very different to play like Ezreal Talia. He doesn't have many ways of defending himself.
So then the next question is, what duo lane does Kazi and Kaiser run? It was Misfits using the Xayah Rakan combination to punish Caps and Mickey. I think Caps went 0-8 that game, if I recall correctly. I mean, it was his cousin Craps playing, of course, but it still counts. And if this set ends up going top lane, Aatrox into set, that can be a very fun matchup. I'm excited to see Arome, hopeful to see Arome on something that's not a tank. We talked in the last game how Arome's kind of been the weak side player for Mad Lions. So I want to see what happens. And of course, if that goes mid lane, then what will Perkz run into it? The solo lane stories are very interesting. In game one, I so badly wanted to get your take, Yamato, on the Perkz versus Humanoid, the assassin versus assassin, the mini game story that Perkz was talking about.
Honestly, it's been very, very dull. No salt, no spice. It's just been Perkz picking standard champions into, of course, yes, standard champions too, but into tanks. It's not like this massive expression of individual skill, not an explosive 2v2 mid lane. It's been very one-sided on who gets to have the pressure. Last time we saw Perkz on the Rumble, just gets to push freely against the Ornn with the Jarvan jungle. This time around, maybe Mad Lions go for another tank, because it seems like this is what Mad Lions have prepared coming into the series.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. And Jankos is going to have his jungle pool pinched. Rek'Sai gone, Gragas gone. Lee Sin is picked away. I mean, he's played the Karthus. I don't think that's what they're going to want to play. We'll see what direction he goes. The Yuumi denied for Kaiser, so Ezreal won't get that combination. And of course, a little bit of an insight. G2 not expecting that set to go top lane with the Gangplank ban. And we get ourselves another crazy flex here. Neeko locked in. I was not expecting a Neeko. 10-6, did you think Neeko was going to show up?
Honestly, I've been paying attention to the Shy and Rookie's solo queue accounts, and they were both spamming a lot of Neeko. Neeko got some buffs in 10.5, I believe, and we haven't seen it show up yet. But into Aatrox is going to be fine early game, but then get kind of outscaled on side. I think the key thing is that Mad Lions are kind of lacking AD damage, so they're just picking the Neeko. It can go top. I don't think it's gonna go support. I think set is kind of locked in support already.
Got it. So what's going to happen mid lane now? We've got every champion locked in, with the exception of Perkz and Humanoids. Once we see what G2 finalize in their team composition, Sylas was banned away in game one from the Mad Lions. We know Perkz loves this champion, and it has been locked in, so we would expect that to be mid, expect the Aatrox to be top. Does Humanoid look for skill matchup? Does he take a set? I don't know if I believe the Kiana happening. What would you like to see him run?
That's dangerous, because already we have something explosive. Lucian into Sylas is a very, very high skill matchup. The Elise is on G2's side. Mid lane is going to be very explosive because Lucian wants to play aggressive. If Sylas gets breathing room, gets to W freely, and gets to regen that HP, it is very difficult for him, for Lucian to keep up. He needs to play perma aggro, harass under the turret. So finally, we have a 2v2 matchup that we're looking for. No tanks. Woo!
Ooh, yes, lots of action in the early game, I hope. And also, what'll be fun to watch is how Humanoid matches up into perks. Because, like I said, in the previous games, running those tanks in the mid lane, you kind of resign the laning phase to a degree. You're committing to mid game, you're committing to late game, to team fights. And this time round, with a Lee Sin and a Lucian, with the Elise and a Sylas, this is going to be spicy. Where do you expect, or who do you expect to strike first in the early game?
Honestly, I think Mad Lions have a lot of options because Lucian is going to have that prio mid lane. Unless Elise goes for a level 3 gank to impact that or something, I think just because of that notion alone, I think Mad Lions is going to have the upper hand early. If Jankos manage to find some ganks somewhere, then that could shift very, very fast. We need to pay attention to how these lanes scale because I think top side is going to be super, super good. We'll just have to see.
We will indeed. It's G2 versus Mad, Game 3. And welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else as we jump into Game 3. The series was evened out at 1-1 after Mad Lions had a convincing victory to open the series. G2 put on a little bit of a circus and a fiesta in Game 2, but it was entertaining and fun to watch. And this time around, G2, they're grouping up, they're going for an invade as well. So now we get to see the true mettle of Mad Lions. The analyst desk, Yamato, was talking about how G2 historically have been a little slow out the gates. They have lost first games in series, and they ramp up as a series plays out. But this is our first viewing of Mad Lions, and the first time we've seen them lose a game. So how do they bounce back, and what is their mentality like? That's what I'm looking forward to watching.
I love that they're going for something early game centric. They can't get away with playing something that kind of scales into mid to late game any longer because G2 tried to fire fast. This time around, in comparison to the last draft, there's actually a lot of options here for them to make plays. Ezreal and of course Seth, they can manage to maybe pick up kills on something that is, and Aphelios quite immobile. Mid lane, Lucian has opportunities to create priority and to pressure the Sylas. Top side, I believe that Nico is going to win early and eventually Atos is going to scale into the lane. The key thing though for G2 is the fact that Jankos is playing Elise. He needs to find action in the early game somehow with some clever pathing, some clever ganks, because otherwise I think Mad Lions can actually gain an advantage. If Lee Sin manages to reach level 6, it kind of resets once again because Lee Sin level 6 is so much stronger than Elise. So a lot of things here are at play. All of these small details are going to matter when these fights start to break out, the 3v3s, the 2v2s, and across the board just jungle interaction.
I really like that because it's kind of like a pendulum. The ability to make plays in the early stages, you kind of favor the cocoon from Jankos when comboed with an Aatrox or Sylas. But then the moment Shadow gets access to that Dragon's Rage, things change up and you know, they have the ability to have more playmaking available to them. The one thing I will say, based on what Jankos just did, which we'll get to in a moment, Caps is busy chucking out all of those chakrams. Kazi flashes forward, the 2v2! They've done it! Oh my word, flashbacks to Misfits. This is flashbacks. Caps will sidestep the Mystic Shot. Jankos comes in. The Cocoon finds the target. The Venomous Bite sinks the fangs in. Repels up, comes down. And Kaiser will be able to escape with his life with the help of a turret. But in a 2v2, Mad Lions, they get themselves the first kill. Yamato, they're going to go for the dive.
For sure, they're just waiting for the creeps to die. No TPs on G2 side. There is no savior for Wunder except himself. Can he outplay this?
No, I don't think he can. Got no flash available. The Umbral Chains will pull one back onto Humanoid, but it is Orome that's tanking the turret. The shield manages to save Humanoid's life. Oh, there are so many minions there. Wonder will be able to get back in lane for a few of them as he's already teleporting. And Caps and Jankos are currently sort of zoning away Kazi and Kaiser. So 3 kills in the first 3 minutes. If a death sentence connects, there could be a dive on the cards. Jankos can repel and get away from turret aggro. Mickey though, he stayed way too long. Arome's flashed over the wall. He's trying to chase forward. If he can find the Tangle Bobs, maybe there'll be another. But Mad Lions just sneak another kill.
G2 a bit too greedy there. They were punishing well, and Mad Lions began to walk up when Aroma had the TP timer. Very nice play here from Mad Lions. They kind of stole that from the Fnatic book. They used their TP into the bottom side because the top wave was indeed in a very good position for them to do so. Mad Lions definitely showing a different kind of game here with the draft that allows them to do so.
I mean, this is crazy. 2-1-0 on Kazi's Ezreal. Got a kill picked up for Humanoid's Lucian. Yes, Arome had to commit the TP, so he will lose a little bit of CS in that top lane. But he got an early gank from Shadow and some support from Humanoid on the dive. Mad Lions are 1,000 gold up. And this is exceptional. The laning phase, more importantly, the roaming phase, has started very early on. And Mad Lions, they've got a good command of the first few minutes.
Humanoid is very happy that Elise has been forced to show on both sides so much because he got to play the matchup however he wants. If he gets to dash forward and attack the Sylas under the turret over and over, it gets really, really rough because Sylas has no items. He hasn't based yet. He's been under this turret the entire game.
Unbelievable. 10 CS advantage for Humanoid, even in the top lane. Kazi's currently down 2. 10 correction, but it doesn't matter because he's got 2 kills. That's where I was trying to go with that. So, small gold advantages accrued on the Mad Lions side. And while Shadow hasn't hit 6 yet, his team has found a way to make an impact even without that ultimate. What do you make of the 2v2? Kaiser and Kazi just straight up killing Caps and Mickey before Jankos arrives.
That is so wild. I just didn't expect it because Thresh is such a strong laner early on. I feel like set support is something that isn't like completely clarified in terms of how strong it is because it's so recent, but the fact that they managed to pick up a kill while G2 is pushing on bottom is insane. They found the engage on Thresh and Mickey was the one that slipped up this time, luckily not Caps, which keeps me hopeful for this Aphelios.
Yeah, it really does. And of course, the Death Sentence didn't find its target. Shadow level 5 now, as he will spot out the bottom lane from G2 moving. Perks is already the first one able to sidestep over to the lane. So, willing to move, still being pushed in heavily, still under, a CS deficit. But I think that's what you were expecting to see, Yamato Cannon. Now that he's hit level 6, can maybe steal away a culling. Would you like to see some additional support, either from, some roams or maybe Jankos moving in?
It's so tricky because I feel like when Lee Sin reaches level 6, I feel like Mad Lions still win the 2v2 in mid lane because of how far behind Sylas is. Lucian's gonna base on a Cutlass, and I don't know if they can actually recover without having a Thresh roaming in or an Aatrox roaming in. And with the 2v2 kill on bottom, it seems like Mad Lions have a good control over this game. I just need to see something more creative from G2. They need to catch someone off guard to begin the Sylas snowball because right now he's very far behind.
Alright, Cocoon is dodged away from it, and Shadow was able to just fly through the air on that one. Repel over to the Blast Code, and now all of a sudden, Arome was trying to make that Pop Blossom work. Wonder ends up pushing him back and, blowing the cooldown for no success. Infernal Drake is still sitting there in the pit, and as it stands, G2 are being pushed around. I am so impressed with what I'm seeing out of this Mad Lions squad. And I want to now continue to watch Arome and Humanoid. They're not playing tanks, which means there's a lot more pressure on them this game to, deliver. And of course, with Shadow showing up and picking up an easy kill onto Wonder, who frankly was overextended hunting for a kill. Shadow's on his signature pick, carries on Arome and Humanoid. They have kills, they have a gold lead, they have an advantage. This is fantastic for our 4th seed.
It's a very, very good look because G2 don't have some scary scaling menace that they're waiting for in the mid to late game. They need to match the punches here. They pick the Elise, they have the Sylas as well. On Mad Lions' side, they have the double AD carries. They're going to scale fantastically. There isn't some late game hope here for G2. They need to start to stop the bleeding. The only thing that is hopeful is the fact that Aatrox is going to beat this champion that is called Nico on side eventually, but I don't know if it's enough for them to kind of create pressure because if Mad Lions begin to pick up dragons, it's all about that soul, baby.
It is indeed, and the question I'm going to ask is, do you believe in Sylas? I haven't really been convinced by Sylas picks that I've seen in the last couple months. What's your take?
It's funny that we're referencing FPX all the time because that's where it's from, right? It's like Super Doinby with the Silas. It's been working. He's been popping off. I think he saw the Niku Pop Blossom. He just wanted that for himself because it's so easy for him to land it. But I'm also kind of skeptical. The Lucian last pick is kind of paying off right now. I got the dive on top, got the advantage. It's looking kind of good here for Humanoid.
I mean, he's almost got that Blade of the Rune King. The CS discrepancy has held true at 10 for, the last few minutes. That's evened out as Wonder is plus 10 over Arome. And Aphelios and Thresh down the bottom lane, they've maintained a very healthy CS advantage, pushing Mad Lions around. But look at this, they're going to sneak this Dragon. Taking advantage of the back timers, I don't think G2 will make it in time to challenge. And if Mickey, almost, I mean, it's very, very close, but Mad Lions taking advantage of a window of opportunity. First Dragon, 4 kills, 1,200 gold. And they are on the cusp of taking another strong early game. The opposite of our expectations, showing development and growth, showing different flavor of composition, and showing that they can stand up to the defending champions and honestly give them a big fight. Perkz is going to hijack the culling. It's a culling for culling, which is always funny to watch, and both Perkz and Humanoids escape with their life. The Ignite and the Exhaust were used.
What does culling mean? Like, I don't know what the meaning of the word is.
To cull something is basically to kill a lot of things quickly. You can cull off those. It's normally quite a scary term. You can cull off like a bunch of insects or plants or things like that. So because there's so many shots, the idea being each shot will kill something. So there are many kills, therefore a culling. And body slam in the bottom lane. 2v2 play, and not able to pick up the kill. Caps. I was wondering if he was going to fire that Moonlight Vigil. He held onto it. And the True Shot Barrage almost takes Caps out. I think if that hadn't tagged Mickey, it may have had enough damage. Good fights in that 2v2.
My goodness, shaved off Caps' invisible mustache there. It just kind of went straight off. It was kind of close. You kind of question, if Kazi maybe had a pickaxe instead of a tear. Maybe he would have killed. Who knows? Oh.
Wow. Wonder once again getting hunted. The Pop Blossom catches him. And that's going to be enough. No, it missed! It missed! I really thought that was in range. The Tangle Bobs, they held him down, but the Pop Blossom just could not get there. Hextech Revolver is being set on by Arome, and now Perkz has roamed up. Rift Herald is very, very low on HP, and now Kaiser starts to step in, step forward, and try to challenge, but that will be going the way of Mad Lions. They get the first Drake. They're going to pick up the first Herald. Blade of the Rune King is completed for Humanoid. Plus 25.
Third play from G2, making sure that they are the ones securing it. Aphelios very behind on tempo. He's not going to be able to take many third platings because Mad Lions are now walking on mid, can put down the Herald, can rotate in the bottom side. They are in a very strong position.
Oh man, this is amazing stuff. The Rift Herald gets summoned. Plates, there go. About to get bopped on by Shelly. Mickey, Jankos, Perkz doing what they can, but they cannot stop it. Jankos gets jumped on. The rappel goes up. He can make it to the chickens. Lantern is available, but it went the wrong way. Mickey and Jankos not 100% on the same page. Sniped by Kazi. Kazi is having a fantastic series so far. His Callista in Game 1 was great. His Ezreal in Game 3 has started off fantastic. And Mad Lions are pulling further and further ahead.
Honestly, Kazi making me regret my MVP choices because I think, not MVP, but the top All-Star teams, because Kazi is making a case for himself in this series. He's playing insanely well. The Callista game was Smurf. The Ezreal game is also Smurf. The banana lands on Jankos in the end. The Lantern kind of coordination with the repel was kind of poor, but then we have the banana.
Oh!
Potassium. In the mouth.
Huge props to the Observer team. That was some slick replays. But I mean, when you eat your fruit and veg, you step up, you deliver, and that's what Kazi's doing. It's the potions you put inside you that level you up, right? And Mad Lions are doing... Yeah, that was so lame, I'm sorry. But it's really weird because I'm one of those guys that jumps on a bandwagon real quick, right, and gets real hyped. There's this voice in the back of my head, Yamata, that's like, what if they do it? What if Mad Lions keep playing this way? Like, it's becoming more and more believable that they could upset G2.
It's super believable. Honestly, we saw it in the first game. This game, G2, their composition isn't something that does incredibly well in the mid to late game. G2 need to show us that cleverness that has kind of given them this reputation of, you know, always putting that shock on you. But right now, Mad Lions are going blow for blow.
Yeah, they are. Stolen culling from that hijack will get some damage down to Humanoid, neither of whom are level 11. And now Aroma, he's going hunting. So looking for a target, flash away from Perks. The Super Soaker doesn't slow anyone. Kaiser's looking for a target and he will be able to pull back. Shadow's still got the kick, but he doesn't have a target to find. The Mad Lions are on the hunt. They are looking for targets to kill. And as it stands, 2,500 gold. Shadow still got the kick available. If he finds Caps, he will go down.
The key thing to pay attention to is the fact that Wunder does have TP advantage now. If they manage to outnumber somehow, that's a way for G2 to get back into this game. But looking at the lane pressure with the mid tower being gone now, the Thresh Lantern becomes a lot more meaningless. All of a sudden, that space that Affiliates wants to have in order to contest the mid prio doesn't exist. So all the pressure lies in Mad Lions' hands. They win the side lanes, they win the midway prio. G2 need to find a way to break that with this TP on Aatrox.
Wow, good luck with that. Humanoid takes another tower. Plus 40 CS. 101 on Lucian. His bot laner is 3-1 on the Ezreal. And Mad Lions at 15 minutes have got a Mountain Drake, have got an Infernal Drake, and the Cloud Rift has just spawned. So now they're going to start pushing all the way forward. I mean, what champion was Jankos playing again? Was it Evelyn? Because I haven't seen much of him, Yamato.
Honestly, it's very true. Very true. You know, he hasn't been given the greatest lanes to work with. Everyone on the side of the map kind of gets pushed in, and then when G2's bot lane also kind of die in the 2v2 scenario, it also becomes
being forced away. Every time Jankos tries to pick a fight, Mad Lions are there. It feels to me like they're reading Jankos like a book. I think that's the third or the fourth time that Jankos has made his way top. Either Wonder died before Jankos could get there, or Jankos just gets caught in the river and has to repel to the blast cone.
It's a very smart play from Mad Lions because they know the thing we know. If they are playing into Wunder, he can't TP into the fight and create a man advantage. That's the key thing. They keep pressuring mid into Wunder's side. They keep even numbers. In even numbers, they are stronger. And that TP disadvantage just doesn't matter. Silas is going to pick up some CS from bottom side, but that also just doesn't matter in the long run.
Oh, he rolled a natural 20 and Humanoid does not die in the side lane. He flashes forward, looking for a kill, steps into the box. Unfortunately, failed. No, he failed the reflex save, okay? He rolled a natural 20 on the first, and then on the attack roll, missed it. True shot barrage goes right between Jankos and will not be able to find a target. But that was bold. I mean, Humanoid was feeling something and it didn't work out.
That was bold. That was a bold eagle. You're just spreading his wings right there. You can't get more bold than that. You're just flashing in when there's 3 members. You survived the gank. You should be happy. You should be celebrating. Natural 20, as you said. And then you just went for the gamble again. Crazy.
Yeah, absolutely the case. Now Perks in the top lane. He's managed to hijack the Dragon's Rage, but he just gets slam dunked back under the tower. Kaiser is on the board with his first kill of the game. Got himself that Giant's Belt to back up the Chain Vest. And honestly, again, it's Mad Lions that are making the plays, but you have to call out the fact that they're only 1,000 gold ahead now. It was a significantly higher percentage earlier in the game, 28.5k to 29.5k. But we're moving into this mid-game phase. You've already talked about the expectations on the side lanes. So what do you want to see G2 play and do? It looks like Caps is going to be able to flash away from the Pop Blossom, but he will get run down here from Kazi. Kazi decides not to chase further as Caps was able to escape thanks to the flash, the heal, and the flamethrower.
What does Cap say to the God of Death? Not today, because he should have died. He should have died there. My goodness, he got caught. Mad Lions just went for it. It's just such a usual characteristic with G2 is to have a point of pressure in the game, but this time around they don't, and that's when you begin to see this G2 that is kind of in disarray. They are so good at spreading pressure, but when they need to generate it out of nothing, that is a whole different question. You know, they aren't Houdini, they aren't David Blaine. I can't think of more magicians. They have more magicians, Trevor?
No, unfortunately not, but you got the good ones. Houdini and David Blaine are pretty epic, yeah.
They aren't those magicians. They can't.
I can't remember the guy's name who's in Magic for Humans. I can't remember his name though, but
Magic for
they can't
Humans?
make something out of nothing. So what do they do then? How do they create pressure? They're farming well. They're only 1,000 gold down. They do have tools, but they're just not finding windows. As I say that, Jankos obliterates Arome. Like, that is shocking.
That was a showcase. You know, you just put the Lees on side, hide in bushes, and try to snap before the Mad Lions rotation comes in. Because this is the way to do it. We've been talking about Mad Lions and their isolated deaths. Oroma and Humanoid, they are the kings of it.
Get Shox into the cast because she just told me that David Copperfield, aka Jankos Elise, just made Arome disappear before our eyes, like magic. Thank you for that one, Shox. Jankos has finally got that kill. I mean, earlier I made a little bit of a joke. I said, you know, is he playing Evelyn? Yamato, you very politely corrected why he was invisible, talking about the lanes, talking about, you know, the composition, the fact people were dying. But all 3 kills that G2 have picked up have been on Jankos. The team is even in gold at 20 minutes, and that faith and that confidence that I had a little earlier in Mad now starting to look a little more scary. How, Caps? How? Give that man gold frequent flyer status because he was airborne for the entire fight. The culling comes down onto Mickey, he manages to flash over to the wall. But like, honestly, he got caught, he got a lantern, he got slam dunked. That kid flew for ages.
It's just, once again, those situations where you don't have that mid-tower. Mad Lions can just use those flanks to get onto the Aphelios. He's a champion that requires a lot of defensive options from his team. The lantern's just not enough to get away from all of these magical spells. We see it once again. Caps tries to walk up, but honestly he needs to be at his second turret because Shadow, he just snaps at you like a snapping turtle. Boom. And there we have the frequent flyer might being used.
Following the auto that finally took it down. Oh man, that was awesome. So that's going to be Caps' first death. The God of Death got him right now. Mad Lions are on sole point at, 25 minutes. The moment that spawns, G2 have to pick that fight. Because honestly, you do not want the Cloud Soul on a team with Lee Sin, Nico, Lucian, Ezreal, Set. Like, that's arguably the most impactful soul that Mad Lions could get with their composition that wants to be mobile and run around.
It's usually people hate the Cloud Drake, right? For good reasons. But when you have a champion like Nico, as you mentioned, gets that move speed when she pops the Pop Blossom, is crazy good. Lisa with more kicks, Ezreal synergized with cooldown reduction so well. Many good synergies here with the Cloud Soul.
That just gives them more playmaking opportunity. I mean, this is such an exciting series to like psychoanalyze, because you always believe in G2, right? And they've got such a pedigree, but Mad Lions are just showing that they have to be respected. And Humanoid has to respect towers, bro. Yes, you got the 1-for-1. That was really good, but Humanoid does die in a side lane. Dracos and Yamato and Vedius, they all sang it earlier today.
You know, he's building an advantage, he has the pressure. He needs to accept those small victories, because that's enough to win playoffs matches, I feel.
All right, engaged from behind. Perkz manages to steal, or he had the Pop Blossom stolen. Won't be able to find a target. Very good death sentence from Mickey. Kaiser all of a sudden being burned down with a lot of autos from Aphelios. Perkz looking for another. Jumps in, lands the chains, and that's the combination that G2 are trying to string together. The kill was secured by Caps. The third tower was secured by G2, while Mad Lions secure a trade of their own in the top lane. 5 kills to 8, 2.5 minutes until the Cloud Drake spawns, and Baron is already on the cards. Pop Blossom is available for Aroma. He may need it. Super Soaker goes out. Hex flash over. Brings the lantern. Flay lands on Arome. Tried to predict the flash, but it didn't happen. Arome flashes after the Blossom. Kazi now looking for some damage from the side. Firing out Mystic Shot after Mystic Shot. Arome gets the root down, and Shadow, he does not find the Sonic Wave. Now there is some support coming in from Kaiser. The kick was stolen from Perkz to get rid of Shadow. Mad Lions are now on the back foot. Mad Lions are being pushed away. And again, the big objectives are going to be focal points in the coming minutes.
And the key thing is, Mad Lions, when something like that bottom 1-for-1 happens, they need to reconsolidate. They need to take a step back and understand that they don't have the same pressure that they always had before. G2 They find that window of opportunity, finds the dive into mid lane, transition that into a kill on Orome. G2 is the team that always punishes you if you make mistakes. Mad Lions need to keep taking it slow because they still have the pressure in the lanes. Aatrox might win against Nico, but I don't think that's big enough for G2 to spread that pressure onto the map. Next Cloudray on the case in 1 minute. That's what I'm excited about, Trevor.
So how did G2 then find this pressure points? I know you mentioned that they punish mistakes from Mad, right? And you can see that in the plays. But it felt like Mad Lions were in control for 20 minutes of the game. And now G2 have just found avenues, back in, and they seem to be dictating the flow of play.
I feel like if anything's going to happen, it's just Aatrox trying to find space through a flank. Sylas needs to also flank, but it's so difficult when he's losing side lane. I think it's all about Aatrox just pushing all the way into bottom, coming from behind with Elise, and then maybe killing like Elite Solution in a one-shot.
Well, definitely the case. Let's see what happens, whether or not they can. Shadow's looking for the kick, doesn't go the right way. Humanoid dashes over the wall, culling is available, and a lot of shots connecting onto Mickey before the death sentence ends it. Now Wonder and Perks coming in from the side. Pop Blossom has been hijacked, and G2 may want to drive that right into Mad Lion's back line. 20 seconds for Clouddrake. Where should I keep my eyes at this fight, Yamato?
I think it's all about Aphelios positioning. If he can stay alive and DPS these targets down, then all will be good.
Oh, Kaiser gets caught up by the cocoon. He's been instantly blown up. Pop Blossom will buy some time, but look how much damage Perks has taken. True Shot Barrage is still available for Kazi, and look at that. Arome's Shadow is moving all the way forward. If they go into this Dragon Pit, True Shot Barrage should be able to do a lot of work. It's a 4v5. The spooky ghosts are flying and tagging their targets. True Shot Barrage go forward. Not going to be enough to steal it. First dragon of the game for G2. That's a hop over the wall from Wanda. And Jankos is on another killing spree. 4 kills to his name. G2 get the dragon, get the kills, get the lead, and they get the hell out.
They get a couple of kills. I think the key thing for G2, if they want to begin to win fights further and further, they need to pump as much money into Aphelios as possible. He's going to be the big carry that will be the difference maker. Mad Lions still, with that mid-turret advantage, I still feel like it doesn't change the pacing of the game here. They still are going to be the team that can walk up further on mid lane because of those glacial augment abilities from Orome. I think it's easy for them to gain that mid pressure. G2 need to still find a creative way to finding fights by contesting space and just hiding on fog of war, coming out of bushes with Aatrox, Elise, and Sylas, using the Pop Blossom the same way we saw there. So they start the engage instead of the enemy team starting the engage onto Caps, because if Caps is alive, everything is good.
Yamato, this game is so tense, and I have seen multiple moments this game where Caps should not have been alive. He escaped by the skin of his teeth several times, and now Shadow's going hunting. Where's the support? He's got Orome coming up from behind. Shadow's got the kick, has got the flash, is looking for Perks. Orome comes in, doesn't find the roots. Perks steals the Pop Blossom. That will buy some time. The Mad Lions will be happy with this. They get the teleport out of G2. We're 27 minutes into this game, and frankly, neither team is in control. We have had a pendulum swing back and forth with Mickey, you so fine. Flay over the wall after Hex Flash into Death Sentence, but now all of a sudden Wonder's overcommitted. There was no more support. Mickey, you blew my mind because you baited Wonder into his death. They didn't know Mad Lions were there.
Yes, it looked so pretty. I was with you. I was like, ooh, spicy with the Hex Flash. But then it's just Aatrox went go, and it was not the time to go.
No, it really isn't. And I love what I think the analyst desk, I can't recall if it was Indiana or Andy, that was saying Mad Lions and G2, they make some bold calls. And those calls sometimes go awry. We've seen that this series already. Jankos chucks out the cocoon, finds one, and that's going to be an easy kill onto Orome. The team tried to recall, and he was the unlucky fish in a barrel that got shut down. 40-second death time is massive. But yeah, like some slightly bold, slightly crazy calls. And this game's slower paced than it's
trying to squeeze as much as possible, taking that extra CS, maybe getting caught. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Everyone's being kind of greedy in their own way. It's crazy, the implications for this. All the other teams watching this and thinking G2 will just stomp it because that's what they are used to. But Mad Lions now 1-1, looking to take it to 2-1. That is just crazy to imagine in the first place. I bet all of the teams that are watching this are super scared.
Yes, I mean, people watching this at home might be fooled into thinking they're watching an episode of Penn and Teller's bullshit, because the episode header is Mad Lions takes down G2, and what's everyone's first response going to be, right? But I'm believing it. I'm seeing it. I'm not afraid of this G2 right now. They got a massive advantage in game 2 with an early game composition that they played exquisitely in the early game. But let's not kid ourselves. It was a little happy towards the later stages and a little bit interesting. Mad Lions, 30 minutes in, even on gold, soul point 1 minute away from the next cloud. Taking a look down the items, stopwatch, as well as Spooky Ghost and Super Soaker for Arome. Blade of the Rune King, Essence Weaver, Phantom Dancer for Humanoid. He's going to get close to that Infinity Edge as well. And 3 items for Kazi. I mean, that comp is online, and they've shown they can team fight and beat G2.
G2 have some good itemization, considering they are buying a lot of armor. Orome being the sole magic damage dealer is not going to be that dangerous. I think this is a good time to fight. The only tricky part that Stylus doesn't have is Luden's Echo. Mad Lions have a better position coming into the Drake though, because now they're hovering into that bottom side. I think positioning is going to win everything out here.
Oh, really nicely done from Arome. He sneaks his way into the alcove, roots up Jankos. Now Kazi's the one that's going to get exhausted down. Perks has hijacked that Pop Blossom. Jankos is running for his life. He's going to get taken out by the rookie. The man that's looking for Rookie of the Split. Voting is closed, so this game isn't going to count. But he's on a signature pick. His Lee Sin. And it is showing up 2-0 and 4. Game 1, Shadows Gragas. Very, very impressive. I think he conceded 1 death. Soul will be picked up by Mad Lions. Baron is being, I don't even say threatened, but is being defended by G2. Mad Lions have arrested control of the game.
My goodness, this Cloud Drake and the Cloud Soul, you said it, Trevor, with these champions, it's giga dangerous. Baron's gonna be the key objective. Oh, okay, they're going. No,
okay, I mean, let's be fair, right? Aphelios can melt Baron very, very quickly. There's no vision here. There's enough, survivability with those lanterns and the turret. I mean, are they gonna finish Yamato?
Honestly, it's looking quite close. Lee Sin is all the way into his base. I feel like Kaiser needs to jump in here, maybe delay some time. 6k, 5k, it's very, very far away, this Lee Sin. They're gonna take it.
They're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. 3k, nobody's there. Mad Lions are late. No true shot barrage. No ability to steal. Soul is picked up by Mad. Baron is picked up by G2. Mr. Analyst Mebdi, which do you prefer?
Honestly, I feel like this Nash is not going to be big enough to kind of impact the game in any shape or form. G2 don't have the best siege composition. Mad Lions have that Soul Drake, which is going to impact the fights more. Sure, you get a little bit of stats with Baron, but Baron is all about that sieging power, and this is not a game about sieges. This is all about those fights.
It really, really is. And now let's see what Humanoid can do. He steps forward, instantly gets caught by that death sentence. Culling starts to shuttle down Caps. Survives again by the skin of his teeth until Shadow steps in. Kill is secured though by Kazi. That's Perks going golden thanks to the Hourglass and buying time. Pop Blossom is stolen the hijack, locks him down. Perks gets 1 back. The shield and the chains and the heals are doing work. Kaiser goes golden, and that support set simply cannot stop G2. 2 members die on the side of G2, but 4 are quashed from Mad Lions.
Wow, this is what a crazy fight. It just started with the snap. They saw Caps and they went all in, but I feel like they kind of overextended. Humanoid committed, Kazi committed, they got flanked by the Aatrox. I love the ending there. Shadow 2 times in a row now, just stomping on the spider. Showing, always the jungle ego having this effect in the game. I love the kick in the end to just finish it off. I'm hoping we have a replay of this fight, because honestly, there was a lot to break down.
Yeah, sending signals on Shadow's side, but again, Cap survives for so long. Like, if he died a few seconds earlier, maybe that fight can change a little. You've got to spend a little extra time focusing him. Just as I buy into the Mad hype train, just as I think they're going to take the lead, G2 come right back into it.
So the key thing is, Mad Lions, they are committing with Humanoid first. Face first, Kazi is also in a position where it's difficult to commit. Very nice flash from Caps is buying time. But pay attention here to Elise's position and also Aatrox's position. Kazi is cut off. Humanoid is fighting against Perks, and Perks showing everyone why everybody kind of hates playing against Silas. He survives for so long, W after W, he's for 600, it's absolutely crazy. On the top side, we see Kazi fighting against Atros because he was in that horrible position. Mad Lions overstep, they commit to a fight with their faces first on Humanoid and Ezreal. This was a bit too much.
Yeah, just a little too far. And the thing that I can't get out of my head right now is that you can never disregard G2, right? This game's even. I don't think either team has truly been in control. There have been advantages swinging back and forth, and while G2 now have a 3k gold lead, don't forget that Mad still have the soul, and Baron's going to be 3 minutes away. Elder is 2.5 minutes, so that will be another siege point. If Mad get a fight on their terms, they can still win their engagements.
It's so tricky because the gold is kind of deceptive. I feel like when you have a composition with the Aatrox and the Elise, these are champions that are going to fall off. Silas as well, his itemization is not going for those heavy death cap AP numbers. He has to buy these utility items that are eventually going to be outscaled by the Infinity Edges. And
stopwatch, but here comes the engage. The slam dunk from Kaiser. Where's the support man? The rest of the team's late to the party. Finally, Arome rocks up, but he may not be in time. The Pop Blossom, not going to get used. I really wanted Arome to go in. He held on to it. Did not go for the juicy target that I wanted. And that means that Mad Lions lose Kaiser, lose control of the Northern Quadrant, and G2 are now pushing into Mad Lions territory.
It's very important that Shadow begins to look for some flanks, because that Lantern is doing way too much work for Caps. They're trying to go head first into space where they don't have vision, but they need to play on the space where they actually do have vision. Vision decides these fights.
There's the vision right now. Huge advantage. The northern side, but if you look at the minimap though, Mad Lions do have superior control around Dragon. With Elder up in a minute, everybody going to be alive and shopping. You have to think that's going to be the priority. So what do G2 have to do to break into this vision line and prevent Elder being picked up by Mad?
I think we're reaching that point in time where minion priority doesn't matter, it's just body priority. You just have to rush to that Drake space and control it, because any side that needs to face check at this point in time is just going to die. So it's important to just be there first, stick to it, ignore the fact that you're going to lose a couple of minions, because minions aren't the kind of decision makers in this game. It's all about that Elder Dragon, that space. If you can make the enemy face check you, you're going to win those fights.
And then 40 seconds to Baron as well. So depending how long this engage takes or takes to start, we could end up having another split where you're forced to pick one or the other. Again, thank you to the observers. They highlighted that line of vision that is starting to time out. Humanoid dashes forward. How on earth did he escape? It's not done yet. Humanoid starts to channel the culling. Kaiser continues to chase. Arcane shift forward. Shadow's not done. Sonic wave interrupted by the flay. The box goes down. The cocoon slows him down. Jankos and Mickey run away from the entire Mad Lions squad, but it now puts them inside the pit. Perks, he's pushing the top lane. G2 are going to concede it. I think they've given it up. Clausy hops over the wall. He's looking for Mickey. Sidesteps the cocoon of the death sentence. Manages to get the Arcane Shift onto the targets and takes out two. Elder Dragons picked up, but at what cost? The inhibitor turret will go down. I'm sure we're going to flick over to Perks in just a moment. The turret falls, and Arome has his ultimate hijacked. I don't know, man. All of a sudden, Mad Lions with Soul and Elder? That is terrifying.
What on earth was G2 thinking? They sent Perks into topside with no TP, and at the same time Caps is contesting mid lane as if the story of the game hasn't taught him anything. He couldn't walk up in this moment. Ezreal dashed in, they got the kill really fast. The damage numbers on both sides now are crazy high. If you get touched once, if you're playing Aphelios, you just kind of die. You need to be in that safe position, and Mad Lions are looking to just win this game with these big buffs from the Elder Dragon and also now the Nasher.
I can't sit still. I can't quite believe what I am seeing. Lapses in judgment, poor calls, poor play, whatever you want to call it. Now Mad Lions punished G2's mistake. Jankos and Mickey ran for their lives for so long, eventually got taken out, and it gave Mad control of the Elder Drake, control of Baron. Elder, 4 dragons, Baron. Gold doesn't matter right now, but they've got all the tools they need to push back. But now they cannot make a mistake. If they are caught out of position, they will still go down very, very quickly. So let's look at the quality of execution. And Yamato, talk me through the steps that you see Mad Lions perform.
Honestly, right now, Mad Lions are so strong that they can just kind of run it down. They can just walk forward. They are so strong with the Elder and the Nash. They can just look to siege. G2 need to be the ones that are forcing, but it's so difficult with their composition. They don't have that much engage.
Perk seems to be playing the side lane game. Reminds me a little bit of Jizuke, my man. Playing on the side lanes while the game is happening elsewhere. Jizuke playing exceptionally well over in the LCS playoffs. Do you think Perk's doing his Jizuke impression will be enough to win this?
Honestly, this is kind of the best thing you can do, but because fighting is kind of a dead dream. Running into that Elder Dragon, it is something that you don't want to do. I like this movement from Perks, the Jizuke special, as you call it. Of course, I like it.
Yeah, very nice. I was going to think it was a trade. Perks may be able to escape with his life here. Kaiser's hunting. He will not be able to catch. He wasted the flash there, but that was a like 5-head play if ever I've seen one. No tower down on the inhibitor line, but G2 secure the inhibitor in bot lane, so that's already going to start setting something forward. Humanoid's already there to catch, but with Baron, with Elder, they should be able to handle that wave of super minions.
Trevor, G2 is so greedy. They were pushing top. They're basing so late. Mad Lions can threaten so much here, man.
I actually missed. I was looking at the minimap of Humanoid, and I didn't even see them do it. They're going for the fight. Moonlight Vigil misses. It might be time to go to bed, gents, because Mad Lions, they're turning it around. Shadow is down, though. GA has been popped. Kazi is coming in for the fight, looking at Mickey. Look at the culling from Humanoid. He's got one. He's got two. G2 are losing. G2 are losing. Where were you when the opponent that G2 chose, they looked down the barrel and said, Mad Lions, we choose you. With that in mind, they are now losing. They are one game away from being pushed to the losers bracket. Mad Lions 2-1 up over G2.
Oh my god. The way they did it too. G2 got caught in the mid lane. Caps got caught in the mid lane. This is the mistake that you expect from a Mad Lions. They are the ones that are the rookies. They are supposed to be the ones pressured at 30 minutes into the game. That's
unbelievable.
When G2's experience is supposed to show up. Instead, Silas was in top side.
Look,
Caps got caught in mid lane. My goodness, what is going on, Trevor?
I know, and it's one of these things that's so strange to think that this is the reality, because I didn't hear a single person even mention, like, what if, right? Because the expectation of BO5 G2 is to ramp up, and I still expect, and I still wouldn't be surprised to see G2 win the next two. It's happened. They've got resilience, but Mad Lions, the quality of their play, their decision making, the drive.